Long time listener, first time caller.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Long time listener, first time caller.
First time
Caller.
First time caller.
After downloading the free Discord app, use the invite link in the description or scan this QR code with your phone to be taken to the Beyond Wednesdays Discord server.
First time listener, long time caller.
There you will see the Modern Comic Mayhem category on the left with the call-in waiting room. Join that call-in waiting room, set up your camera and your mic, and have your questions ready.
Call me now!
Now open your mind to me, please. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
That's right, it's William the Refrigerator Perry.
The fridge destroying G.I. Joe.
And you can get a free fridge. Here's how.
Collect 5 fridge certificates or call the number on the certificate and the fridge will tell you how to get in on the action. With only 4 certificates, there's a $1 handling charge. See details on specially marked G.I. Joe packages.
Watch out, Cobra. Fridge is coming through.
Yo, Joe!
The following program deals with a controversial
subject.
The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Saturday night, another Modern Comic Mayhem on Beyond Wednesdays. Holy cow, it is going to be a very interesting show tonight. I imagine the talk is going to be heavy on CGC, but I want to take a different angle to it. Shout out to Jeffrey Drake. Welcome, brother. And shout out to AOA, too. If AOA's... I know AOA's got to be in here somewhere, man. The best fucking moderator in the game. And what up to Ronnie? What's going on, brother? Happy birthday. I believe your birthday just happened, right? He's getting goodies at Megacon. So we're going to take a different look at it. We're going to... try to take a different look at it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So, Megacon. Fucking holy shit. There's always drama, dude. Are you kidding me?
Like a barista? Is it like the hat? Is that what it is? The hat and the glasses?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think that it's very interesting that the last couple cons, con books have been heavy on the Hot 10 again, which was kind of like not the case for, there was a good period of time there where even con books weren't even popping really, you know? And it's good to see that we're seeing more, you know, that's good to have a con happen and see a lot of those books be talked about, be sold on the secondary market. I mean, that's a good thing. That means people are making money. And then stories from the floor have been great. So
does it still show a healthy market then? Like, because because what Megacon tends to be the first con of the year that people tend to gauge how the year is going to go.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm seeing, it's interesting. So, oddly enough, I think in terms of volume, the best-selling books right now are the Whatnot exclusives, and it's hilarious because they're not selling on the app for anything.
No.
Nobody wants them. But the Secret Warriors one that just came out, the facsimile from I think Drew Zucker did it, if I'm not mistaken. I think Drew did that one.
Shout out to Drew.
Fantastic work. Great cover, great Doctor Doom cover, and then the Kevin Eastman Wolverine, which doesn't surprise me that that's selling. Okay cover, I guess. But
there's a Kevin Eastman Wolverine. I have to see what that looks like.
There is, and like it's not bad. It's good. I don't want to say it's good Eastman, but it's better than usual Eastman. There's the Zucker.
Badass,
that is pretty badass.
That's really really good. It makes me sad in some ways that it is kind of stuck to Whatnot. It's not going to get the eyes that it deserves.
But it's kind of interesting where that having that, but there was that book this week that Mr. Freeze book, and I found out I believe that's a Whatnot variant, right? Or
there's been some really good stuff. It's just unfortunately you have to like sift through the shenanigans to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
There needs to be some better ways, and I've been an advocate of this from the start. And I'll put it out vocally because it's probably the first time I've had to vocally say it. If Whatnot is smart, they're gonna find a way to get a general page out for sellers that says like, "Hey, we're dropping these variants. Do you guys want to buy in at cost?" And then everybody has a share, so nobody is necessarily boxing someone else out, and folks that are actually active and on the app would have an incentive then to be active and to be selling and to work through the app, because it'll get you some access to some stuff that everyone else may not be able to get access to, and it'll create a little bit of variety.
You know what, dude? I'm just now I'm going to talk about something. So I saw this post, right? Comic Tom and his pops. And it was from Comic Tom's dad, right? And he basically said, I can't describe how proud I am of my son, and then he tags his son and puts hashtag Crashdown. And I just thought to myself, like, I'm a fucking softie for shit like this. It just made me think of my dad, and I thought, like, man, that's fucking cool as shit. That's really fucking cool. So I put this post out, and it was interesting how to see, man, there is some hate for this dude on the next level when you can't even put posts like this out, and you're going to take shit for it. But then,
unfortunately, so here's the thing. If that book wasn't the key collector key of the week,
yes,
people wouldn't have the vitriol that they have. It would just be another book, and you'd have people saying shit about it and hating on it. And I'll be the first person to tell you, I read it, and I'm really using quotes because there's not a lot of dialogue in that issue. There's not a lot of writing going on there, and that's not me trying to be a jerk to anyone. There's not a lot of dialogue in that issue. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like the worst printed thing ever.
Well,
I think
Temple Smith's art does a really good job, man. And like, I say it all the time. I used to be the biggest Temple Smith fan, and it's hard not to look. Like I said going into this, it's going to be hard not to read this and immediately like it, just because I still love his art. You know what I mean? His art's fucking great, and this is a perfect example. But I think we're gonna have to give it the whole story. You know what I mean? Like,
at least a little bit. I mean, it's a first-time writer and things like that. But it's just, to me, and anybody that says it, I'm gonna again, I pull no punches here. You're 100% correct if you say that that's a joke, that was the key of the week.
Oh yeah.
Because by every definition and phrase, it's not even a key. It wasn't a first appearance of any of the characters in that book.
Oh yeah, wait,
They were-
it had the ash cans, right?
And even before that, they were in that heavy metal release when Whatnot scooped up the rights to heavy metal. That was the selling point of, hey, we're bringing heavy metal back. Here's the preview to Comic Tom's new book. There's going to be this, however many pages of excerpts that are going to be in this thing. And and then right after that, there was an ash can. So it's a number one. It is what it is. It's an issue one.
Part of me wants to reach out to Nick and ask him kind of what were you thinking, what was the plan here, because I think that if anybody could see that it's just gonna hurt them. It's gonna have optics. It's bad fucking optics. Yeah, it's gonna backlash. You know what I mean? And but at the same time, I understand Nick. Like he likes Tom. Him and Tom get along good. Get along together good. And sometimes you want to help out your friend. I get that, but you have to see that.
And I mean, objectively speaking, it's I'm not going to say it's a big deal, but it's a deal. It's somebody that is heavily involved in influence and has tons of reach, putting out their first writing and their first book. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not a deal. I don't have a problem if you were to put it on the list of like 15 books, be like, hey, this thing's coming out, whatever. But when you call that your quote key of the week, get the fuck out of here.
Did Tom repost that? Or is he staying away from it?
I think Tom's really staying away from it.
Smart.
What's been interesting, the one thing that I've noticed, and it was kind of weird to me, there's been some retailers that did exclusives for the book that were doing drops on Whatnot for the exclusive for Megacon weekend. And like all of a sudden, Tom pops up and is running a giveaway stream over people promoting his own book, and I'm like, that's just weird.
Yeah,
that's weird optics all the way around on that one.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I've been in a couple times, and he's not that bad. Like, he's like, he has high production videos, and it's like edits and clips of everything of his best takes. And so, like, when you meet him in person, he's not like that. You know what I mean? So it's, I think that's what it is, right? That people have seen that so many times or so many videos. And
it's also I don't want to take a shot at him by saying this, but it's the best way to explain it, because he has that kind of exciting, like he's kind of like a carnival barker, if that, you know what I mean? Like he's very high strung and excitable, and
very expressive and like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the Eastman right? Is this the Eastman you're talking about, or is this a different one? What is this?
No, I think that's a Cassidy.
Holy
if I'm not
shit.
mistaken.
No, wait, no, it's Eastman, bro.
That's Eastman as well?
Oh my god, dude, you scared
me.
I thought that was Cassidy.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like that last Cassidy cover.
It does.
That Wolverine.
It does.
It does.
Yes. So I thought it was that at first, and then I saw that it was like just like an open order variant. I was like, that can't be it.
No, so it's for Wolverine #1. I'm gonna assume that this is a facsimile of Wolverine #1. I don't know. I haven't actually, obviously I don't have a copy to know for sure, but it's
this one, Wolverine 42. No, Wolverine Numb. You said Wolverine.
This is Wolverine 1.
Okay.
I think it's a facsimile of Wolverine 1 from, the original limited series Wolverine 1.
Oh, the Frank Miller and Chris Claremont story. Yeah.
I apologize, you guys. I am super baked. The session was good. I ran out of my straight up zigzag cigarello wraps, which are not good for me, and I went with one of the King Palm smoking shit out of a green leaf.
I dropped it into the private, Bryan.
Thank you. I'm fucking really ripped.
It did me well. I got new papers.
Look at that. That's interesting.
So it's like pretty good. I mean, it's not great. It's not bad. It's definitely different, and it's a good way for folks that don't have that Wolverine 1 or have
It
one
would
of
have
the
been
reprints to get it.
It would have been a good Wolverine 2 cover.
Yeah, because of the color scheme. That's the one thing that I will say that they shouldn't have gone with blue. They should have kept the original color scheme.
Or even the position of him, right? Because he's like the claws out towards the viewer. Like, kind of like, because it's like that on issue 2 where he's upside down diving or whatever in the blue.
Interesting.
Yeah. But, I mean, pretty good cover. I can see why it's moving. I mean, it's Kevin Eastman. Kevin Eastman, it's a baked-in name. It just is what it is.
Yeah, people are going to buy his stuff no matter what.
Yeah. And then obviously the art germs are going crazy, and I'm just laughing my ass off at every idiot that's spending $200 on that garbage facsimile.
What is that? What is that Natalie Sanders book going for? Is that going for anything?
I haven't seen a lot of them move. It's not to say that it isn't, but I don't know in terms of pricing as to what it's doing.
Let's take a look and see if we can see what's popping off right now. There's that Eastman book. 50 for the set. That's 55.
So that is the logo variant, as lazy as it is, it's apparently sold out of the con.
And it's good. It's good. I hate to say it, man. It looks like it's nice foil. And
it at least, so I hate logo books. At least that makes sense as a logo book.
Yes.
That at least makes sense.
Oh, compared to the other logos.
Yeah, where it's like, here's Aquaman's logo. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
It's like, who's the artist for this? I want to know. Who's the artist?
Yeah, but I mean, the Thundercats one, like, it makes sense. And it's Thundercats. I mean, it is what it is. People have been waiting for a while for something to come from Thundercats again to make it pop off.
Yeah, there's your art germ selling well. What else do we got?
The Avengers Twilight Momoko is doing well as well.
Spot foils, Clutch's spot foils are selling well.
Yeah, which again, I mean, Transformers, it sells itself.
Yeah, it's a good book too.
It is.
The part. I actually was telling my buddy, I was like, "Oh, here's the book. This thing's fucking gorgeous, dude."
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh yeah.
$45 for that. Batman 121, but it's those damn facsimile variants.
Yeah, it seems like that we're already shifting from the foil craze, even though there's still plenty of foil coming out, to shifting towards facsimile crazes again with exclusive covers.
Oh man, I can't wait. I mean, they were doing second prints and 1 in 25s.
Yeah, it's just.
I
shake my head.
225 for the Miko Suyon.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope someone takes my idea and like just starts doing random facsimile books,
Shitty
like not
books.
even keys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep on pushing for that until a store does it.
Just some real shit.
I'm just gonna laugh when that does happen.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the craziness going on in Megacon. It's nice to see books selling.
Yeah.
How long they'll be selling for, we'll see. Who knows? But
I think the thing most surprising to me is, even though there's a flood of these Taylor Swift books, none of them are really moving right now.
We talked about the Taylor Swift book on Friday night, last night, because it was the #1 book on Stein's list, because it was fucking going crazy.
Just wait until it goes to court.
And
That's when.
We had the conversation with we had the conversation about how she's on a rampage right now, and you got to be careful and this and that. And then the conversation came up about Shikari and the AI, and Shikari commented on Stein's thing, saying I don't do AI. And then Sean reached out to me and he's like, "Hey man, I'll come on the show and talk about it and this and that. We'll tell you everything's on the up and up." And so I told Sean, I'm like, "Yeah man, we'll get you on." So we'll see how that plays out. But I'd still be scared, man. You know what I mean?
It's a dangerous, slippery slope because she is somebody that is very big into intellectual property rights.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as my understanding is it's kind of a handshake agreement on all of these female forces books that like it's okay, but it's not formally in a contract that says it's okay. I don't know how true that is. I don't want to misspeak if that isn't factual and it is, you know, contractually legitimate. But it's going to be a slippery slope. And then at this point, I mean, you've got every conservative news agency trying to, you know, staple her to a cross right now.
Yeah.
So it's there's a situation of brewing, that's for certain, and it's going to get ugly. If I was a retailer, I would steer clear. Personally,
it's gonna end up being like a class action lawsuit with everyone.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of books. I looked on their website. I was surprised to hear some of the titles that they have.
Yep. Yeah, Tidal Wave has quite a few, and it's always in the music industry because, if I'm not mistaken, the creator of that comic brand.
Only 60 points? He needs to hit that 70 points, man. What's up? All those other players are hitting 70. He needs to join the club.
Yeah, I think Tidal Wave was owned by somebody that was in the music industry, so it's somebody that has like inside ties. So that's how they have a lot of what they have. I don't know if folks saw, but there's a Travis Kelce book that is coming out soon.
Oh my god, dude, are you kidding me?
Nope.
Nice.
I gotta find that. Hold on.
I can't wait until they start putting like pieces of jerseys and comics and stuff like that.
Oh my god, dude.
Well, like cards. Oh man, it's gonna be so great.
Is it
one
this
of one
one?
comic?
Yeah. So that's that's the hardcover, and then there's going to be a floppy version of it as well.
Oh, and you can pick it up at Walmart. Hell yeah.
His brother. Look at his brother in the background.
The look of like, why God, why is all I can see there.
Dude, well, this is funny. This is funny. This is coming out. Like, I don't know if you guys follow the Kelce brothers much, but they're I think don't they have a podcast? I think they have a podcast, and they were going over each other's rookie cards the other day, and I'm gonna play you guys this clip. This is fucking funny, dude. This had me rolling, and it's very interesting to see that now they have that comic book coming out, and check this out.
Of Travis, I got signed. Always talked about cards on the latest podcast. I figured I'd show my rookie card of Travis. I got signed at training camp a few years ago. How did this end up being your rookie card?
I fucking hate that card.
It's a
that
bad,
disgusting, dude.
I just don't get it. It's just like a.
Why would they pick that picture for my rookie card? Like, what
I thought rookie cards
Who
still
chooses
had.
that?
I thought rookie cards still had pictures of the guys playing in the games.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is the first time I've ever seen a rookie card.
I did this at the NFL Draft Combine.
Always talked about cards on the latest.
So to see them getting a comic book is, I want to see what they think about the comic book now. Look at that image. What's up, Hood?
What's up,
guys? Hi, Joe. Hi.
What's up, Yee? Hi.
It's good seeing you.
Hey, dude, don't be doing that, dude. You're gonna get me all excited, bro.
Like a little dog. Like when you say to like a little chihuahua, like, oh, look at you, look at how cute you are. They start like.
I was trying to bring back the wave, like you were asking for, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody.
Waving.
Now I'm just gonna wave, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" Instead of the like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Right? It's like, "Hey, hi, Binky." Hi, wave back. All right. Yeah, see, we're bringing it back, baby. Wave, Brian. You were the only one that didn't wave.
No, I already did, dude.
Yes. Hey, so since we're talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and I hit up Josh and Longshort, dude. I think I found something crazy. Okay, so there was this book written, I think in what, 98? It's called Stormy, singer, songwriter, badass. And it was released at South by Southwest. And it's loosely based on Taylor Swift.
Whoa. Whoa.
Right? So I picked it up like I didn't think anything of it. So like I picked it up and let me see what the artist and writer's name is. Oh, let's see.
This podcast, I figured I'd show my rookie.
2016. I'm sorry, not 96. What I'm fucking saying.
Yeah.
So
you're stuck in high school.
The artist, it's written by Douglas Brown. Douglas Brown. Shout out Douglas Brown.
What's it called again?
It's called Stormy. STORMIE. Stormy. Singer, songwriter, badass.
STORMIE, huh?
Mm-hmm. Stormy.
Cover price doesn't
Singer.
even got it, I don't think.
It
Douglas
looks like it
Brown.
started as a digital comic, and I mean, obviously there's a print version, since it has it. Well, something came of it.
I wonder
And
if he got sued.
so, huh?
I said, I wonder if he got sued.
No, I don't think so.
That was a joke.
Because
It was
he
a joke.
said, I was inspired to do this when my niece came over for Christmas break in 2014, and she had Taylor's album in 1989, and running on which seemed to be a loop. The idea for the story took shape after reading articles about her, more importantly, the polarizing comments section following them. It got me thinking about how the internet and social media, these celebrities have to basically be on all the time. So, yeah, so this is, I don't know if it's the first comic loosely based around Taylor Swift, and I haven't really
It's
read
a first
it.
appearance, bro.
Huh?
It's a first
Could
appearance,
be.
bro. It's a key.
I don't know. It's just with everybody doing Taylor Swift books or whatever, like, what's one that could be adaptable? And I don't know. I got to read it to see if, that's one of the covers. So I picked it up and I was like, holy shit, that's pretty cool. So like if they were ever to do anything, like a movie or something like that, this could be adaptable. So I just thought, I'd never heard of it. It was Austin, the bougie Austin people.
How long ago did you get that?
I got it a couple of weeks ago.
Not bad.
And I hit up, I showed Josh. He just sent me big eye emojis right when I explained it. So I didn't get a full response from Josh as far as, hey, what do you think? But it could be something. And that's how, like, a $2 buy-in for
dude.
both of these.
Yeah.
$2 a piece. So,
bro, I think you have the best fucking half-price books in the world, bro.
Honestly, I picked this up at an antique shop, bro. We have this run called Antique Row, and they've got about 6 of them together. And you go in there, and sometimes they have comics or whatever.
I cannot wait until my band plays in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, man, I'll take you over there, Aaron. You'll like trip out.
I'm probably even going to drive separate just so I can spend an extra day digging with you.
But like, I mean, it's like. So this one, it was called Cody's, the antique shop. Shout out Cody's. I always go in there. Where's Cody? And there's no Cody. You know what I mean? Where the hell's Cody? I want to talk to Cody right now. No, so
money.
These were in a short box, and whoever the seller was had nothing but #1 issues, some cover A, some cover Bs of just independent stuff. And so I just scooped them up. It was like 50 cents, $1, $2. That was it, man. So I just picked up a rack of books a couple of weeks ago, and I was going through them, and I hit up Longshort, and Longshort, like, cool.
Did you see this shit?
I did.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
That's
boy, it's strange. There's scandals going on every which way. Then all of a sudden, magically, out of nowhere.
What pedigree is that?
It is
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Yeah. It's
Alpo.
Of course, I've never heard of the Kansas City pedigree before.
Yeah, Kansas City.
Have you guys heard of the Kansas City?
No, let's look it up.
I've heard of.
I've heard of the Kansas City Shuffle.
There was a San Francisco pedigree where it belonged to these Asian people, and they had a stamp in them, signifying like the newsstand that they owned in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, nice.
I think it's a San Francisco pedigree. Man, those books are fucking beautiful, man.
I want to get one from the. There's one like that. I think it's called the Chinatown collection.
Yeah, that's the one.
Dude, check this out. Oh, sorry. You go ahead. I apologize, bro.
Oh no, yeah. Whenever I heard about that, because there's like 2 parts to that collection or something like that. There's a part 1 and a part 2. When I heard about that, I was like, kind of like, oh, I kind of want to get a book from that. I mean, I don't really care what it is.
Dude, this shit right here is bonkers. Kansas City, the earliest pedigree collection ever found. Turned up in Kansas City in the late 60s and featured a large accumulation of nearly 250 high-grade #1 issues that ran from 1937 through the 40s. The people who purchased it sold only a handful of issues each year, but because the accumulation was not considered a pedigree until the 80s, and because they have no distinct markings, many copies have anonymously vanished into collections. Besides copies of Batman 1, Flash 1, Green Lantern 1, Planet 1, Jumbo 1, and Superman 1, the collection also contained one of only 4 pedigree copies of Action Comics #1. That copy, graded CGC 8.0, was the first comic book to sell for $1 million in 2011, so they must have upgraded it to an 8.5.
Yeah. Boy, that's strange. Weird how that works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ever since the introduction of these labels, right? Because when they first introduced pedigree, it was just like a little notation in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, unless you were looking closely, you couldn't really tell any difference between the blue label iteration versus this.
So I mean, when you have an 8.0, that's a perfect candidate to get a grade bump. 8.0, 7.0s, like those are ones that there's some meat on the bone. When you get into the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, typically there's tears on the book where it could go either way. But when you have grades like this and the 8s and the 7s and the 6s, that's where there's meat on the bone. That's where there's pressable defects. But when you get into the grades where there's torn paper, loose staple detached and things like that, that's where it makes it a little more difficult for bumps.
This one has a tear, right? That's go ahead. Sorry, I apologize.
I was say it's curious to me though that clearly that 8.0 is now an 8.5 and they can't even be bothered to update their website.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
That's really
well. At least at least there's some transparency. Hey, you saw we left it at 8.0, and now it's an 8.5. So you figure it out. But if we would have changed that little, hey, you changed that to 8.5 on your little synopsis of Kansas City pedigree.
But it's not the highest grade though, right?
No, there's a 9.
It's the highest graded pedigree, though.
Oh, it's the highest graded.
Well,
pedigree.
Didn't Mile High have a 9.0 of Action 1?
I don't know. Probably got a 9.0 of everything.
Yeah.
I think Chuck just put out some new. I heard a lot of people talking about he's something with 2 million books. He's trying to offload or something.
Oh, Chuck Rosansky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's feeling either that or he's just busting at the seams, man. Because he bro, that Mile High like is loaded with books, loaded, and I guarantee he's got like ghost books from Independence and like covered C's and D's and shit that we're always struggling to find. But like he doesn't make any kind of deals, bro.
So here's the other thing. Chuck doesn't know what Chuck has.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say to folks is Chuck doesn't know what Chuck has if you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, you can get some
find some things that suddenly update with reflected pricing shortly thereafter when Chuck realizes what Chuck had.
You mean when you buy it for like $20 to $30 and then they refund you because it happens to go missing?
Mm-hmm. And then
my
suddenly
bad.
it's back in stock and it's $400 because it's one of the first Scotty Young books that ever came out that nobody knows about.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's never happened to me.
Yeah.
That's never happened to me. Not once.
No. Yeah, so say what you will about Mile High. If you shop the coupons and you're willing to navigate that GeoCities nightmare, there's deals to be had.
Well, like there was a couple that took round trip and they were hitting all the comic shops and they were like trying to hit every single one in the, like, I don't know, in the United States. Like that was pretty ambitious. You can still see it on YouTube, but they go to Mile High and they see a raw copy of New Mutants 98 and he has it in the showcase and the dude has $1,700 on it. And questionable, like maybe 9.0, but they were like, and they were asking him, and he goes, well, look at it this way. This is kind of like a museum. Like this is like you're not going to see books in a facility like this, and this is different. This is like a museum, and when you go to a museum and you're paying for art, the prices are going to be a little bit higher. And I'm like, man, what a pompous ass, dude. Like,
so
I get it. You've got a badass facility with all these books, bro. Don't you want to get rid of them? But if you saw that one Comic-Con special, the dude trips out when he's selling his books, bro. He like just wigs. He had, you remember that Red Raven #1?
Yeah.
That he took. Remember that the only one in that kind of grade. I think it sold for like a couple of million, but like he legitimately was tripping out when he had to like. He goes, I don't want to sell them. I don't like he was just tripping, dude.
He put out this post. He goes, I started a national ad campaign yesterday to finally let go of some of my overstocked comic books. My new promotion absolutely kicked butters overnight, which bodes very well for its long-term success. That's truly good news, as I currently have somewhere around 15 million back-issue comic books in stock. Sadly, however, if I continue to sell my beloved back stock at our current pace of 1,000 comics per night, I will totally run out when I turn a mere 110 years old in 2065. He says, in a nutshell, that's why I keep right on with frenetically buying more comic books than I am selling every single day. The thought of having no comics left at all is simply more than I can bear. Look at, I mean, that shit's crazy, bro.
Like this guy, like you could talk all the shit you want about Chuck. He legitimately spearheaded two of the greatest hauls in the history of comic books. The Mile High one, right?
Which is the church, right?
The Edgar Church, where he bought out the Edgar Church family's collection, where they were just kept in pristine condition. And then in the 70s with the Mile High 2, where it was basically like mob people that were you know, what was it? All these books were supposed to be sent back to the distributor, and they never got sent back, and there was just piles and piles of like Hulk 181s and X-Men books, and So 2 of the greatest hauls of all time, dude. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of those websites that we all love, this is kind of a bummer, Binkies.
Yeah, I saw that.
Says here.
I saw that.
Yeah, this is interesting. Justin Mason said, "Hi guys, hey guys, I never do this, but it's really important to me. I want to help these guys any way I can. Jason and Jim run the biggest comic shop in southeastern Kentucky, with arguably one of the most welcoming staff and environments. Unfortunately, they've been shut down since Tuesday, and as a last resort, looking for help from the comics community." This is Comics Cavalcade, and that's interesting, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell everyone, if you guys are looking for weird shit at affordable prices that you don't think exist, they probably have it.
Are they still running their website?
I haven't looked this week. I imagine it's up because that website to me feels like it's been up since the dawn of eternity, kind of like Mile High.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me what may happen if they are forced to shut down, because they have a shitload of inventory they're gonna have to liquidate.
Yeah. If they weren't doing this, I'd be hard pressed to give this one away.
Yeah.
But here you guys go. This is fucking cornbread. If you've ever been served it on a silver platter, this is it right here. Go spend after the show. Trust me, they've got enough. Go spend 2 hours looking through their stock. And
I mean, there's a lot of really weird, creepy stuff, and you're like, why was this ever produced, and why does somebody own a copy? But then you're also gonna find like those weird leather-bound books that like nobody fucking has copies of. You're gonna find some stupid low-print Avatar books. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. People can pick up what I'm putting down there. Yeah, you'll find a lot of those Jason, Freddy horror books, everything like that. To be quite honest with everyone, I've been able to run chunks of horror shows from on Whatnot and been profitable because of the ability to get them off that website.
Yeah,
they're out there. You just have to be willing to navigate that nightmare.
Hustler, like we've said a couple times in the last month. I think that the people that are hustlers in comic sales are still doing good. Hustlers, the people that can figure out places like this, that are constantly looking, the people that are, picking up collections left and right and going to cons. Speaking of Megacon, shout out to Bird City. Saw Ant was out there in Megacon or in Orlando. Sounds like Laura didn't go with them, but people are still rocking cons. And they're doing hustlers are doing whatever they can, and they're still making money, man. So it can happen.
I pulled up the graders notes on that action, by the way. I call shenanigans on this being an 8.5, given the notes. Small bindery tear on the top of the spine, small crease left top of back cover, tear with crease top of the front cover, light staple rust.
Yeah,
that does not sound like an 8.5 to me.
Yeah.
So, well, here's the thing, like, because of the age of the book, it does get that is taken into consideration, and that's the way it's always been. Like
it's graded on that bell curve.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But if you pick up that guide, the guide is the guide. It's not, these are the rules, unless the book is this old, then these are the rules.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had for Matt. I talked to him about, like, has there ever been a book that, like, carries, like, could be a 7.5, but you look at it and it presents in such a way that it's like, man, I can't give it a 7.5. I got to give it an 8.0 because of color reflectivity and the sheen of the book, the way it presents, like from when it first hit the newsstand. Yeah. So those are some of the things that I asked him, and I also asked him the opposite. Like, is age taken into consideration when you're grading a book? Because you can't say 8.5 is the same of a modern versus a book that from 1938. There's no way. Otherwise, this book is a 4.0.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And, you know, so like considering that the book is only 8 years old, like
you got to read his book though to find out the answer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, and this is where I almost feel like, and it sucks because at this point they've used this bell curve, so they got to keep using it. I wish they never would have used it, and these books would be a 4.0. You know why? It would stop diluting the concept that everything is a 9.8. Because guess what? Everything's not a 9.8.
Well, here's my
well, you
biggest,
got to repeat that for the people in the back,
right?
My biggest problem. My biggest problem is, and I wanted, and I should have asked Matt. Does everything start at a 9.8 and then decremented from there, or does it start at a 10? Because assuming every book is perfect, and then you dock for color breaks, color rub, reflectivity, how it presents, is the print centered, it's not off cut, like just things like that, the paper quality, like, and then decremented from a 10. But in my opinion, like the way the graders are taught or have been taught is that everything starts off at a 9.8. If you can't find anything there, it's a 9.8.
Yeah,
that's why you don't have 9.9s in plentiful, because they're starting off every book at a 9.8.
Yeah. Well,
so
let me segue. We're gonna use this to segue straight into it. Let's get into it.
So let me put one last piece of context in this one. This book was regraded on 11/4/2021, so it's a recent regrade to get that pedigree label.
Yeah. Yep.
That's probably right around the time that the silver or bronze pedigree labels came out, right?
Yeah.
And B, it's funny that you mentioned that not every book has to be a 9.8, but this book does, because the only 9.8 that's on the census is a restored book. 9.8. It's so funny. 9.8 restored. What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's not real. That's not real.
Yeah.
That's just like a rich guy like flexing. Like, I have to have the highest on the census.
All right, let's get into it.
Drummer!
What is Rumbler, into the news.
So we're also, what up, Josh? How you doing, brother? We're also gonna bring on Emmett from Haven from Heroes, who's been just doing really good videos lately. So I sent him the link to join us. He's chilling in the Discord. Jump on over when you get a chance, Emmett. Check your email. But you know, we've been talking a little bit about CGC, obviously, and we got to just get down and dirty into the mud on this one. And if anybody else wants to jump on and join us, let us know, and I'll send you the link, because this is the type of question that we really need to kind of like ask the community. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, brother. How you been, man?
Good. All right. So if you guys aren't following Haven for Heroes on, you might want to jump out of the Discord, Emmett, if you can. Is it on your phone? Yeah. If it's on your computer, just go ahead and jump out of it.
It's not on my phone. It's on my computer.
Yeah. Jump out of that, and then that'll help. So he's been killing it on these CGC videos as of late, and we talked about it on a show recently. And you know, right before the new info dropped, he put out a really good video talking about, you know, why even grade your books to begin with, and he brought up fair market value, and I thought that was just great conversation. And you put out a new one recently, which was even better. And So I think he's a perfect person to talk about it. And how long have you had your shop, brother?
I'll be 10 years in May.
Okay, 10 years in May. Because it was funny. There was a couple comments, and people were like, kind of giving you shit. And I'm like, you guys, this guy's been a long time LCS owner. He knows. That gives him some credibility, in this. And one of the things that just blew everybody away is how you talked about you don't even like grading to begin with, and you look at it like a it's it's not like a card where it's just two sides. There's art in the middle. You have to open it and check that out, and which is fascinating. So good job on that shit, brother.
Thanks, man. For me, it's like sacrilegious. I mean, the splash pages that you never get. Like I said, they might as well be blank.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's what I really want to get into. Everybody's talking about this new thing that happened. And Hood was on with Thorough the other night and did a really good job. Kind of breaking it down, and basically we got these new, I don't know, do you call them charges? Like, because they're charging them, right? CGC is fucking charging them for sure. Some inside.
They're suing them.
They're suing. Different. Yeah. Well, yeah, but they're charged.
There's probably criminal charges tied to it as well, given claims of theft.
Yeah, there's got to be.
It would be curious if it's just civil, if they're claiming theft.
Well, and it's a breach of their contract too, right?
Yeah, but it's more civil.
Yeah. Is it more civil?
Yeah, it's a weird in between. It depends on exactly what went on, but that's probably more civil.
Yeah. Well, basically, what we know is there was a couple, right, that were working. Was one of them was working at CGC, or were both of them working at CGC?
They both were.
Both.
Okay. And Hood put out this post, and everybody's like, "What is going on here? Why are you posting this? Why are you making this post?" And it was basically the person that they had caught, right, Hood?
Oh, I took it down. I could put it back up.
Why'd you take it down?
Oh, because I don't know, man. I didn't want to shit on that person. You know what I mean? I put it out there, and I don't know. Like people that live in glass houses don't throw stones.
Well, why would you be living in a glass house?
I don't know.
You don't live in a glass house.
All right, I'll put it back up. God. Hold on.
So, where is the fucking the charges and that they're suing them? Where's that information at? I know I have it somewhere. All right, let me find it. So basically, they were both working there. What were they doing? Were they switching books? Were they giving good grades that weren't?
So the husband, what was his name? Brad and Aranya. Brad was swapping out books, and he was stealing books too, like getting rid of the labels and the plastic, just outright stealing them and then selling them. And then
they were also printing additional labels.
Yeah, additional labels.
Because I think it was something like where they were. I think they were giving enough security clearance where they were receiving packages and transferring it to like graders or something like that. I think that's what their role was.
He probably couldn't have done it by himself.
Right.
The wife was well needed. The other thing is that Thorough brought up, which I think he may be correct, is those books are not owned by CGC. They're owned by the customer. So they're not stealing it from CGC. They're taking it from their place of business, but the theft is happening to the person who's not even there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going to be difficult to convict them of any crime, because the people who had their books stolen are the ones that need to report them stolen.
So are the people that had the books stolen, were they CGC customers that were sending in books?
Correct.
Yes.
So, do we know how many? We probably have no idea how many, to be honest.
No idea. That's one of my big problems. That there's no number on any of this stuff. They said there's 350 books from that other incident, but there's no way of telling.
I think at one point, well, that's the thing. So I think at one point there's a number indicated somewhere, and I think it's like 27 or 33. It's not a huge number, but can you really trust that that's actually the number?
Well, they've been working for the company for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Up the Down 7 says, McClay, did you read up on all this before devoting a whole segment to it? Yeah, of course I did. But I'm trying to pull things up and then ask questions to get people to talk while I'm pulling them up. So, all right, back to what we were doing.
No, so like, here's the thing too. So, if you're an employee of CGC, you get 20 submissions for free, any book, 20 a year.
Yep.
But the caveat to that is you can't sell it. You can't sell a CGC item unless you have to ask permission. And that's all in these 34 documents. Like, you have to contact the human resources department and say, hey, I want to sell this book. I'm trying to buy some crack cocaine. So,
Just because they're in Florida doesn't mean they're buying crack.
Probably meth.
But
Florida man.
But you know, you're sending a mixed message to the employee, right? Because they're giving them perks, right? So, but ultimately, do you want to give that kind of a perk? I mean, you're almost giving them an incentive to maybe, you know, if I work there, hey, dude, let me have 10 of your submissions and I'll give you X amount of dollars. And now you've got 30 submissions, and it just leads to issues happening when you do that. Just pay them more. Yeah, but you need graders. You don't need collectors. You're just. I understand the incentivizing the employee, but would you incentivize them with slabs?
Well, here's
that they can't sell.
Here's the interesting part.
That is so fucking stupid.
Here's the interesting part to me. When we first heard about the issue with the the Mark Jewelers, remember we were, at least I know we talked about it on one of the shows on this channel where we said, I even asked, you know, do we think it's somebody inside? And I said, I don't think it's somebody inside.
I did. I told Legg, I said it's an inside job. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Like, you had to, or could have been an ex-employee of CGC that understands all the.
It turned out that it wasn't. We don't know that these two cases are connected, but they fucking did have people at the inside job doing it. And the crazy thing is of course it's one of those people that were hired during the pandemic. You know, this is. Their hiring process for that would probably like anybody who lives near Florida or wants to move near Florida and has a pulse will teach you how to grade a book. You know what I mean? So, and that's exactly what happened.
But isn't like Florida the retirement mecca?
Yeah,
in the United States, where everybody goes just to retire, all the snowbirds and everything. You know, to enjoy life
and do bath salts.
Yeah, and do bath salts. But that would be the employee I would seek out in such a sensitive, like, I mean, there's a lot of money involved, and somebody that really doesn't need money is the type of person that you would want working here. I would imagine.
This is
not some struggling artists.
This is the funny part too, that like not only did they like make money and steal shit and sell shit and like, but they had to even throw in his girlfriend's art and get it CGC
dude, I put
signature
the post
series.
Back up, bro. Check it out, dude. So I when this first came down in the morning, I went and checked the Facebook, and sure enough, there she is, and there's the book that was in the 34-page complaint, and I was like, God damn, dude, look at that. It could have got, and I said, could it have been as simple as Matt Nelson goes, well, let me check their Facebook. And then they found it. Like clearly they signed something that says you can't sell CGC slabs. And there she is out there. She's grinding. I'll give her that. She's an artist. But she signed it something that said you can't sell. So we don't even know if that yellow label was manufactured. Who the fuck graded? Her husband was a grader. He could have said, I gave you already a whole bunch of 9.8s, babe. I got to get you a 9.6 and a 9.4 on these. Do
you think he was sleeping on the couch for those grades?
I guarantee it.
Is there
we don't want to make it look, because if we just do 9.8s, we don't want to. We want to kind of, but
9.9.
So, have you guys ever lost any books from CGC?
That's what I was going to ask right now. I want to know if there's anybody out there in the chat that has lost any since 2022.
I got an email from a guy who's opening a comic shop, because I have that show on Tales from the Flip Side about opening a comic shop, and he sent in his best book, which was Batman's Adventures number 12, First Harley Quinn, and he thought it was perfect, and they messaged him, we lost your book. And they offered him $1,000 in trade.
Yeah.
Like in coupons.
Yep.
And
that's what they normally do.
That's crazy.
In grading credit or whatever.
Yeah, they did that to our buddy Chris. Yeah. They fucked him. You know what it reminds me of? The Jerky Boys. You remember the old school Jerky Boys skit when he's like, You give my whole family food poisoning and you offer me coupons? So
yeah, it's crazy. Because I'm going to send you my best book and you lose it. And then, like you said, you're going to offer me something that costs you nothing.
Well, I know that we reported on this one, which is crazy. And I would like to go back on when we reported on it, because I wonder if we called bullshit on it when we saw it. I feel like we did. I feel like there was a Ahsoka newsstand, a Clone Wars newsstand that we talked about on a Wednesday night show, and BigLegg was like, "There's something weird going on here," and had us look into it. I could be wrong, but
no, I was going to do a clip of that because we started noticing that before any of this came out, right? 9.9 a week later dug into that, and shout out to 9.9. He has good content over there. Love you, bro. But Legg was one of the first ones. He started digging into the seller.
Yeah.
And we were doing a market report, and we were saying, hey, this seems freaking odd that these books, and that's kind of how it started. And I can go back and clip all of that, but we were digging in, but we just didn't really we should have dug more.
The Ghost Zappers reached out to me a while ago asking me for some help on something, and he's talking about it right here. He says, my magazine went missing, and they said an employee discarded it after reviewing the video, because they wouldn't review the video for the longest time, and I think he finally got them to review the video, and they showed, I guess the employee threw it away.
That's probably how they're getting it out of the building.
Yes, you're probably right. Holy shit.
Absolutely,
dude. You Ghost Zapper, you need to reach out to them and say, hey, was this one of the books that that they were doing? See if the employee if you saw the video, I wonder if you can tell if it were those people. Maybe that's why they made you sign an NDA, but you're talking about it here.
Well, fun fact about NDAs, and those of you who are wrestling people will know this: NDAs aren't worth the paper they're printed on.
No, for the most part.
So I was talking to Thorough the other night. The biggest thing is, like, every company is going to have issues, from McDonald's to CBCS, CGC, Dairy Queen. every company's going to have issues. They're going to have internal theft. They're going to have issues with staffing. I mean, you name it. Just quality of work. You're going to have issues in every business. What makes this an issue for me is when you are tied to influencers and the specter of some, funny business like, and I don't have any
and
beef
auction
with
houses and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't have any beef with Comic Tom, but it's almost a slap in the face when Homeboy pulls out like 29 nines. And I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's brand new, but I've submitted brand new books left and right. Never once gotten a 9.9.
So
I don't give a fuck about card stock or whatever. I've sent
I've
sent all kinds.
It's just a giant bat wing in your face,
Yeah.
So part of it as well is a lot of these guys, it's going straight from the publisher to CGC. So there's never another second set of hands on anything. So they let shit slide because they're like, no one's touched it. It's totally mint.
And we're supposed to believe that?
No.
Because they say that?
You have a brain, so no. But
it's like I don't believe any of that. It's like they gave them like, hey, thanks for taking care of us. We know you're a major influencer. You're getting book slab from CGC. Everybody's watching you. That's like an advertisement, bro.
100%, brother. 100%.
Yeah.
The problem with CGC over when you look at the card market is there's no close competition. Competition keeps you honest, right? You step out of line when you have good competition, they're going to eat your lunch. And CGC doesn't have any real competition. CBCS is good. PGX, there's another company started up, EGS, and they look like they got something good going on there. But it's the dollars that get dropped on eBay for a CGC. And because that's happening, they've gotten soft, man. I've seen plenty of 9.8s that don't even look like a 9.0.
Oh, I have an interesting question for the panel. So I was dropping off cards at PSA at a TriStar card show here in Houston this weekend, and I went yesterday, Friday afternoon when it wasn't like busy at all because everyone was still at work, and I was talking to the person that I was dropping off cards. And I was like, oh, it's just kind of crazy with what's happening with CGC, right? And then they're like, yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. So we have Q&As with our CEO like once a month or once a quarter, and we ask him questions. And comics is a common question that keeps on getting brought up if PSA is going to start grading comic books.
Yeah.
So would you send comic books to PSA for grading at some point in time if they actually did happen?
Here's the biggest thing, Aaron. Like the biggest problem is their slab, and I was so hoping Matt Nelson would have come out and said, "Look, we're gonna have a tamper-proof slab. We're done with this shit. The reholdering, it's going to be on hold. We're not going to do that until we figure out a different process or a different screening, the way these books are screened in. But the biggest problem is their slab. When I can open their slab with one hand, there's a problem. I mean, it's
holy shit.
Yeah, like I did a show with Bryan, and I had 10 Ultimate Fallout number 4s. I was grading it for Wilbert. I cracked them open with one hand. It's still on my YouTube channel. But like a CBCS slab, that ain't happening. Man, you need some tools.
Well, here's
some fucking tools, man.
Here's my question that I want to get into, because the talking point keeps on coming up. Are you still going to send your books to CGC? Are you still going to send your books? Look what's going on. Are you still going to send it there? And yeah, of course I am. Until the secondary prices, until CBCS or PGX or EGS books, that graded books, start selling for more than CGC books, I will. But it's not happening. And until that happens, it doesn't matter. So here's my question I want to get into. I watched Haven for Heroes video talking about, how he doesn't understand why people grade books to begin with, and kind of open up that thought process. I feel like people that are only grading books for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, are people who either come from a background of flipping or they want a return on their investment as much as they want a collectible. And that the people, otherwise, there's no reason to grade them other than to sustain them, like to put on your wall or something. That's the only other reason, in my opinion. So I want to know...
Or to have a trophy wall.
Exactly, a trophy wall. But you don't need to send a CGC to do that. You can put them in your own, you know what I mean, thing, and put them up there. But it's such a big part of the flipping atmosphere and the return on your investment atmosphere that nothing's going to change until those CGC books start selling for less. What do you guys think on that? I got to go take a leak, and I'll come back. I'll be right back.
There you go. There's a hell of a transition.
I'm sorry.
What do you guys think? I got to go pee.
I legitimately think I'm sick because I've got over 600 slabs and I don't think I want to stop. I need help.
Well, you still have the 600.
Getting your book in acrylic levels it up, and it just feels better. Your book is archived. It's slabbed. It's got somewhat of a grade. You know what I mean? Like you could doubt like that 9.8 looks like a 9.6. Okay, but at least it's protected. Like if I die, like my wife is not going to make a mistake on. Oh, I didn't know it was worth that. Well, it's encased. Like she can go on eBay and see what it's worth right away. There's not going to be any mistakes. Like, wow, I gave away an ASM 300 for $10. Like, that's what goes through my mind,
I mean, the way I always saw it was that you have a third party that's grading this book, right? And you, like, if Joe, like you and I were making a deal on a book and it was raw, and we couldn't agree to say like what grade the book was, so we can't determine condition versus and price. So that's what I figured what it was meant for, and it became like this bigger thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could sell it long distance.
Yeah.
So you could sell it long distance because you need that third party to come in, and I totally 100% get it. For people that are wanting to sell books at exorbitant amounts, right? I'm a reader-centric shop. If a guy buys a book from me, presses it, and sells it for 3 times what I sold it for him, great, fantastic. I'm not in that. I have to make people that are going to be around buying books in 10 years. If this market goes flat, all the investors and speculators will be out, and I'll have nobody to sell books to if that's who I focus on. The exclusive game will go away. All this stuff will go away, which are all cash grabs. That's really not the hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that with anything. You do it with sports cards. You could do it with Magic cards. If all you want to do is cash grab, there's plenty of collectibles to do it with. Comics kind of have a bigger part in the whole game.
And I mean, I would go so far as to saying that comics as a whole are such a small subsection as compared to cards. Cards far and away a lot more sales and money involved in that medium. The numbers aren't as cuckoo bananas unless you've got something totally unique, but just the ability to move volume.
Yep. I was a comic shop that sold Magic cards. Now I'm a Magic shop that sells comics. They're just my bread and butter, keeps my lights on and stuff, so that I can keep buying comics for myself.
Yep.
do you guys
You
know
gotta find
where
your hobby, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys know where all of this started? So on ESPN, there's a 30 for 30 short called The Counterfeiter. And I was watching it the other day. I've seen it a couple of times. It's really good. So this guy, he was an artist and somehow delved into the sports industry by doing custom prints of athletes like Michael Jordan. He was a very good artist, did Troy Aikman. And he got them to make prints of these, and he would peddle them to all these different sports card shops. And so what got him to start forging signatures was the dealers, man, I really can't use it, but if it was signed, man, that's a different story. So he perfected the hardest autograph, which is Mickey Mantle, and he perfected that autograph. And then just because of his attention to detail, he practiced all these autographs. Anything that any major big time major leaguer, he could do it, from Joe DiMaggio to Mickey Mantle to Pete Rose. But what ultimately put the heat on him was when McGwire and Sosa were going for the home run, Roger Maris's single season home run record, was that McGwire didn't sign. Yeah. He legitimately didn't sign, and the feds were already on to counterfeiting. And this guy, bought boats, Ferraris, had a couple of houses. Like, this was a big deal. So ultimately, I think it was 1998 where the feds seized over $7-8 million worth of autographed memorabilia, bats, baseballs, pictures, cards, and it made major news. And that's the genesis of the third-party authenticator, right? Because they did have, what was bad was they invented a third-party authentication with a certificate. Once they indicted these guys and they put them in jail, PSA, that was the genesis for PSA. Oh. Like, we're going to encapsulate it. We're going to have authenticators to verify. They call it DNA, right? Where they verify the signatures. In the comics world, like, what was it, 2000, when they started encapsulating, 99, 2000, with the red labels that became the blue label. But that's the genesis, right? You wanted that third-party authenticator to say, hey, this is a legit book. This has a grade of X. And people were good with that. That slab kind of made you feel like, okay, this is secure. Like, this is legit. Instead of just a comic, a backboard, a plastic, and a certificate of authenticity, kind of like what who was doing that in the early 90s? What was it?
Dynamic Forces.
The Dynamic Forces, right? So people
Midtown still does it.
Yeah, people wanted a little bit more than that, but like, ultimately, we're at a point where, like, people can fabricate things now. Like, you've got to change your like. I was telling Thorough, people update their security systems because, like, people like figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. So people have figured out how to manipulate your labels, your slabs, and you can't even trust the people that you're bringing into your business. Your business is affected like that. You should, like, if I'm Matt Nelson, I would take that personal. Yeah, you're suing these people, but what are you doing to protect your product? Not the specter of 9/9s coming down and kind of hush these people up. Oh, we're going to do some 9/9 pre-screens. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. A grade's a grade, but is my collectible going to be protected? from any kind of shit.
Well,
I want a foolproof.
You're not getting that with any of the grading companies.
Yeah,
But you're getting it with CBCS. that is a dude. I can go grab CBCS right now. It's a bitch to open.
No argument there. But here's the crux in all of these things. So every one of these places you look at, bold, big ass letters. Comic rating is subjective. There's your first problem.
Yep.
If something is subjective, that means there is no finite, so it doesn't matter what that number says. That number is only as valid as the credibility you as a company have.
Amen. Amen. That's a fucking great point.
So, I don't care. You could put a CGC 700 bazillion on a label. I really don't give a fuck.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is we are the few that feel this way and think this way, and CGC's credibility is in the money they bring in on the secondary market.
And that's exactly what I was about to say, Brian, and this is the crux in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Collectibles are a big deal. Collectibles are one of the highest money turnaround sources right now in the American market.
You know what collectibles are? Collectibles are nostalgia's drug dealer.
Yep.
That's what they are. That's 100% what collectibles are. That's the in. That is the first hit. All right, here you go. You want to hit a nostalgia? I'll give you this free, and then you're going to be grading books in a couple weeks.
So I mean, it creates this conundrum, and like this is the problem. The bottom line is, I mean, just look. So I'm sure somebody's keeping a tab. How many times has the word investment or investor been used already on this episode?
Yeah,
a shitload. And the second you start viewing things as investments and investor and this, that, and everything else, I'm sorry, there's no more credibility. Money is now involved.
When do you think that it became, because the flip to me has happened. I had my LCS store owner for the longest time tell me, like, most people that collect comics don't even care what's on the cover. It could be torn off. They just want to read it. And I don't feel that's that way anymore. Am I wrong about that, Emmett? Do you have more customers that come in that just care about reading and don't give a shit about condition or collecting?
The new people that are reading the new books, they could care less what's on the cover. Then you have I have a few flippers that come in and they want like whatever cover that I could get that's special or whatever. So it's different with the indie crowd, because I do a lot of independent books. They want the story, right? That's what they're there for, and that's what I try to foster. Everybody that I talk to, everybody that comes in the shop, we talk deeply about comics, and what's their favorite book, who's their favorite author. I've always followed authors when I was a reader before I owned a shop.
Me too.
The art was great, and usually great writers get good artists because they want to be associated with that great run. And there's a lot of books that are fantastic runs and are iconic stories that are absolutely worthless, or maybe not worthless, but don't get the money that some other stuff get. Yeah, like so the Jock book during Scott Snyder's first run on Batman, the Black Mirror, started out with Black Mirror. That Black Mirror book's like a $30 to $40 book. That Jock book, which is near the end of the run,
$880,
is an $800 book because of the cover. So, but there's a lot of people that just want to read it.
Well, here's the thing that I bring up all the time. Back in the 80s, like I think up until maybe the late maybe the mid 90s, up until the mid 90s, from 80 to the mid 90s, the book to have that you had to have, or you weren't a comic guy, you didn't know shit about comics if you didn't have this book or want this book, was Daredevil 158, right? First Frank Miller. They cared about that more than they cared about first appearances. They wanted the first Frank Miller Daredevil because Frank Miller was just amazing creator, you know, not only an artist, but he was the reason why they wanted it so much was the writing, you know, what he did in Batman and Daredevil. That was the book. Somewhere in the like maybe when Image and the first speculator boom happened there, that period of time is where the thing flipped, where collectibles became more about it than the reading.
Well, all the artists became famous.
Yeah.
And they were writing their own books over at Image, and none of them were writers. That's my problem with the Comic Tom thing, and that you guys brought up earlier, is that who vetted these guys as writers? Like, go ahead, get your book in at Image and get them to print it. You know, when the guy, the editor, not Kirkman, but Eric over there, get him to, he reads
Larson.
your book and says, hey, we're gonna print it. Then you wrote a comic. Whatnot is an absolute joke. I won't carry their books. I refuse. And you can buy almost every book they have on Diamond
For 60 cents.
Discount 60 cents.
Yeah, I was looking at them yesterday. It was crazy. It blew me away.
Can I address something? Like,
Yeah.
So we were talking about how many times we talked investment and like I started working at my uncle's LCS in 1982, and I would bag and board comics. I would put together long boxes, like day after day, you know, and that was the routine. But the minute they came out with a bag and board, that's when it became an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was just, and this is 1982, if it was just an investment, there wouldn't be no fucking bag and board. Why do you have a bag and board if you just want to read the book? Right? The minute you step into a comic shop, they have a bag and board for a reason. That these books have a chance to go up in value. You buy at your own risk, but books from the 70s and 80s 60s had started to move, and there was people buying big books in the 80s, and you started hearing about it. There wasn't social media, but there was a kind of movement. Hey, these books are going up in value. And now, like, the evolution of the Mylar, the clear, like the clear bags and things to make your book feel more important, and talking about the archival bags and to UV protect. Like, if it was just about reading book, then you wouldn't sell any bags and boards. I mean, let's just keep it. Why do you need a bag and board if it's just about reading a book?
But
the minute you buy a bag and board is because you want to protect it.
Well, it's
why
about
are you protecting it?
You don't put your books in bags and boards.
Right.
What's
but
that?
it's about, well, you do have dust covers and slip and
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, but it's about uncreative people in I'm talking about in an art sense, needing to make money off creative people.
Oh, that's
so all the bags and boards and all that stuff that's all generated by businesses that like, hey, what can we sell to people that like comics? You know, how can we store it? How can it be betterly stored? That's how they're thinking. They don't think on, you know, how can we make the story better? That's just business. That's the way it works. And like I can't even buy from BCW anymore because I had such a horrendous fight with them. They've put me down as a hostile buyer.
Nice. Well, you're not missing much. Mediocre bags and boards.
100%. And they act like, why? Because they're the leader. And because they're the leader, they get the most orders, the most money. They could lose me. They don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like $8,000 a year in supplies. That's nothing to them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, man, because I feel, you know, I got really heavy into content creation because I fell into the flipper, not necessarily the flipper world, but the speculator world, right? Mm-hmm. Before I got into CBSI and that type of stuff, comics were I mean, yeah, they were expensive because I wanted a Hulk 181 or stuff, but I didn't look at them the way that comics most the way I've been looking at comics for the last couple of years, ever since I started doing the Tales from the Flip Side stuff. It has become so big to make money off of, and find a book that's going to be tenfold in value in a few weeks, so you can make money and do it again and do it again and do it again, and it obviously, I think steroids.
There's burnout.
Yeah. And steroids, the COVID was steroids for that, because people latched onto it, and then next thing you know, we've got probably like 30% growth in a few month period of time, and then even more a few months after that. And these people that jumped in, most of the part, they just care about flipping and making money. And when I heard, who was it? Phil, Coliseum Comics, right? When he said on that Mark Miller thing, we used to have parking lot readers, which we all know what that is. If you have been...
You couldn't drive away.
Yeah, we've all been that way. I was that way with Snyder Capullo Batman. I was that way for Sandman when I was in high school, and other crazy books. But and we all knew that. I remember seeing that with Walking Dead. Every time Walking Dead came out, there was multiple people just chilling. They didn't even get to their cars. They're reading it after they bought it, or you know what I mean? And then talking about it. We don't have that anymore. And when Phil said now we have parking lot, phone flippers, it's the 100%. Truth. Yeah.
Look at Bad Idea. Bad Idea won't let me sell their book on eBay when I get it. But you could walk into my shop, buy it for $3.99, and put it up for $40 because there's no stores in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So some guy buys it in Oklahoma because he's got to have it. It's for FOMO, and it's just insane. I had a Bad Idea for a little while in my store, and it just didn't drive any people into my shop, even though they could turn it at the same time that I was selling it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one other thing that put the steroids on some of these books. I can't say exactly why I know, but a lot of the option news it's real, but it's not paid, right? So a lot of times they'll go to these new creators and they'll go, hey, we want to option your book. And you're excited. Hey, I'm going to have a Hollywood career. And they take the option for free. They don't give them any money. And they shelve it because there's a project they're working on that's very similar.
Yeah.
And they don't want anybody buying that and beating them to the punch.
Yep.
It's happened to a few creators that I know personally. And everything is optioned. Everything gets optioned. And it's not really true. And then there's a lot of companies that are Aftershock. Well, Mad Cave is called a film company.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Bad Idea.
All this investment. Yeah. All this investment is about film.
AWA.
Yeah. And, a lot of these places are now just printing legacy books, like our books that when we were good, we were selling. So now we're just reprinting those. So, I mean, this Hollywood part that came in, which was great for the hobby, also was really bad for the hobby.
I think Trade Paper Dad in chat hit the nail on the head. It's probably the best comment I've seen in chat. Unfortunately, we had a comic money boom and not a reader boom. And I 100% agree with that. You had people sitting around and heard Hollywood this, Hollywood
that's a
that.
Great fucking, that's
fast
eye-opening.
money.
Yeah.
And there it is. It's exactly like you said. Option news. I can't go a week without 3 notifications from Key Collector telling me Hollywood optioned something else, and then you watch the spike on books go whoop, just instantly, and then 4 days later it's back down to here.
And I know that there's several books in production or very close to being in production that have never hit the option news.
So here's the thing, though, to bring it back to the grading and stuff. Is grading good for the hobby?
To me, it's a catch-22. It is a necessary evil. It's not a bad thing. And there was a comment in chat earlier of like, is it a bad thing that I want to make money off my comic books? No, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Nobody's saying that it's inherently a bad thing, but with money comes a lot of other things that are associated around it.
Yeah.
Greed, influence.
We're talking about it because of that. Look at these. That's what happened at CGC with these people. Greed. These people got sloppy. They got greedy. They did it because they were greedy to begin with, and then they got greedy to keep selling it and to keep doing it. And you can only do that so often. You're going to get found out, and they get found out. So, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
And to me, I mean, like, is slabbing a bad thing? No. Slabbing is a good thing. Slabbing does provide a means of preservation. It provides a means of display. You know, the bottom line is, folks that follow me on Instagram, I was at a basketball game earlier today, but before I went into the basketball game, I got into DC early enough, I was walking around a portrait gallery. Art is art. It's art on my wall. That's not just a comic book. You know, it depends on how you look at it. But at the same time, I feel like, and Bryan, you mentioned it earlier, there's this mindset, if I need to get ROI on something, I'm going to slab it if it's high grade. And I get it. We're all going to do it. Everyone sitting on this panel, to some degree, I guarantee you, is guilty of that fact. They picked up a book and they're like, well, if I slab this, this is worth 10 times more. I'd be an idiot not to slab it and sell it. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not a slab.
Yep, not at all.
I send my books to auction, and the auction houses have them slabbed, but I'm still having it slabbed. I get it, but you know, sometimes we got to pay a bill, so I get it. But if your whole thing in the business, you might as well be in NFTs. If your whole idea is just to find books, grade them, sell them, find books, grade them, sell them, you're not a collector.
Nope.
And you should have a tax ID number. You should be paying insurance. And you should have an LLC at least, sole proprietorship, and pay your goddamn taxes.
Yeah.
Going back to the earlier question, am I going to keep submitting things to CGC? I'm probably the one person on this panel that's going to tell you, not really, not for a while, not until shit gets straight, until they take some accountability and restore the trust.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, the question came out. Has anyone lost a book? And no one on the panel necessarily had that. Well, I had the inverse. I had shipped to me from CGC, and here's some breaking CGC news. Some folks know this. I sent the video. I had sent to me, to my house, a CGC slab that was not my slab.
Oh.
In the slightest. I never submitted the book. I never had anything. Sure enough, it got delivered by FedEx when I wasn't here, and it was in my Dropbox, and I came home and looked, and it was Sarasota, Florida, a CGC 9/8 signed book, and I'm like, not mine.
Merry Christmas.
Exactly, yeah. Banker error in your favor.
How did that play out?
I looked at it. There was no paperwork in it. There was no anything. It wasn't my book, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. And then just threw it in a corner, and I'll figure it out when I figure it out if I figure it out.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They're supposed to have insurance and protect these people for it. Like, I hate being that guy, but sorry, dude.
A lot of their processes are falling down. Like, I had some people comment on my thing is, haven't you watched the videos of CGC grading books and see how, great they do it? And I'm like, that's for the video.
Yeah. So here's the other thing that's funny to me. So we're talking grades. There's one set of eyes that matter on everything. What subjective thing? Look at figure skating. There's not just like one person given a score, and then that's that. There's a panel of people, and then all of those, you throw out the highest and the lowest, you go into the middle, and you figure out the in-between.
Yeah.
How is one singular head grader deciding what every book is?
Yeah.
Because that's a great point. Model.
That's a great point.
Well, you should at least reach out to CGC and be like, "What do you want me to do?" And see what they want you to do, because
well, and that's the thing. It's unfortunately, I'm gonna have to send it back FedEx and everything else, and FedEx isn't really around me, and it's a pain in the ass on me. I don't work near a FedEx,
and it's a cost to you. It's not only a pain; it's a cost. Your time, the money to ship it back. They might send you a label. maybe.
Yeah, but there is something very important, and that is comic book karma, my friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the funny thing too. So this isn't the first time, and this is the first time it happened to me, but Nemesis Prime had this happen to him as well. He sent in a bunch of slabs, he got a bunch of slabs back, and in the middle of them was a Spider-Gwen 1 that he had never submitted.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that
I'm
says
sorry.
to
There's
their new
clearly no guarantee that if I send you my books, I'm going to get my books back. And you've exhibited that now not once, but twice, but multiple times on top of everything else.
Well, the sad part about that is that's exactly what's going on, and that's why these people got fucking caught, is because they're the new hires that got in there that didn't get enough time to be trained on what to do and how to do it correctly. And here's the problem with that. This isn't just a piece of Amazon fucking something that is going to come to your house. This is somebody's collectible. And when it becomes a collectible, there's nostalgic value to it, which, you know what I mean? Like if it was my first comic book that I got, which could be some bullshit comic book to you, that's fucking major value to that person. That's a big deal, man. And I want to know how many times that these people did that. I hope that there's a way to find out how many books they did this to. I mean, CGC needs to come out with a thing that says, hey, if you've had any lost books with us and you've reported them, we're going to, you know, we need to do something more than just giving you $1,000 in fucking coupons.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to me, it blows my mind still that you can get a CGC slab back, and like Hood said, one hand, I can and pop the top. That's supposed to be protection. That's your guarantee. Your guarantee can be opened with a peanut butter knife.
Yeah.
And every year they should be on their website. It should be how many books they lost, how many books were damaged.
Full transparency.
Full transparency. It builds trust.
Yeah.
One other thing as well, like you know what I would love to see? I would love to see them, and to some degree it's publicly out there. You can look at the database as just a free person and fish around. But there's no like, here is the database. Click on the button and here's the database. The whole thing. I would love to see a data dump or some sort of representation thereof. So somebody, and I'm guarantee you there's a reason they're not going to do it, but somebody that has Powered BI skills can dump that database and look at the actual analytics and data, and you can see upticks in grades, upticks in this percentage of books. All of a sudden we're getting these grades, and now all these 9.9s came, and this came, and that came. And you can really draw some correlations, and, you know, bottom line is it's about transparency, right? So be transparent.
Man, I just, it's absolutely... What timing CGC has to have this happen, and has CGC talked about this? I don't think they've put out anything about this, right? Themselves. Have they?
From what I heard, it was found on Twitter.
Yeah, it was
I forget the dude that broke it, but it was on Twitter.
It was on Twitter, and it's I think that person found it because they have a Bloomberg Law subscription, because the only spot still that it's available is in Bloomberg Law. If you are a lawyer, you can pull up the full article, full everything.
That guy's he's like one of those guys that goes and finds all the new cases and he reports on them. So, but here's the timing that CGC has. They put this out.
We wouldn't miss it.
It's Megacon.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC's here. We wouldn't miss it.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC trading your comics, cards, games, and movies.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC has great prizes and giveaways.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC has express drop-off. Make sure to fill out your submission forms ahead of time, and we're ready to take your submissions. It's Megacon. Of course CGC has trade show staff to help. Just ask.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC has experts here to look at your books.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC wants to see your cosplay. Come see us at booth 493.
I'm sorry, CGC. I'm sorry, Matt. I am sorry, whoever your PR person is, but this did not hit. And whoever told you that this would hit, it's get rid of that person. This is wow, Jesus.
It's Megacon.
It's
Con
tone
Ace.
deaf. It is
Yeah.
100% tone deaf.
Yeah. So I'm sure Matt's like, motherfuckers, these, I don't want to do this, but
Instead of dropping their prices, right? Which I'm sure everybody's happy about that, but all they did was lower them back before they jacked them up during COVID.
Yeah.
Right. So all they're doing is taking it back before this whole COVID thing, and it's kind of a reset to where they were. I would have much rather them invest in tamper-proof seal or something to place over the slab.
They'll still do that.
So I want to read
Hopefully.
these. This is one of my favorite parts is going through the comments on this video of like videos like this. So I want to read some of these. It says here, it's Megacon. Of course, CGC should be embarrassed of themselves after these last two scandals. It's Megacon. Of course, we might lose your books. Oops, they were stolen. Sorry. Here's a 9.9 pre-screen to destroy the market.
The best one.
Of course, CGC will replace your real comics with fake ones. No, they won't even do that. It's CGC. Of course, the grade on your book won't be accurate and our employees are sketchy. Jesus. Wow, that one.
Of course, our wife left us for the karate instructor.
Yeah.
We sold a 9.8 Amazing Fantasy 15 with spine ticks.
Jesus, dude. Of course, we can press your 4.5 with an iron in the back to bring it to 9.8. Well, that's the other thing. Like you brought this up in your latest video, Emmett, where you talked about how what are they charging for their pressing service?
$70.
Yeah.
70.
And you want to hear something crazy?
I can almost buy a pressing machine for that.
We know somebody that had an AF-15 pressed, and they detached the cover.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
Holy fuck!
No. It's Megacon. Of course, CGC is going to mess things up. The Bud Light of comic grading. and then in the middle, every once in a while, you'll see Matt is a great guy with integrity. At least people love Matt out there. It's Megacon. Of course, CGC will be here. Huh? I don't get that one. They just said that one.
Well, actually, what they're talking about is the most worthless thing in America today, and that's integrity.
Yeah.
Because anybody who has it can't make $1.
Yeah, we don't care about integrity in this country anymore.
No.
And I mean, like, to me, if they want to make a statement, they want to prove that they care, they want to prove that they want to make it right, and it's going to hurt them. But guess what? You deserve it at this point. Say, we are pausing acceptance of submissions until we fix the problem.
Yeah, so
it's not going to happen.
And it'll never happen, but...
Here's the interesting thing. We're going to have to start keeping an eye on those prices, right, of CGC sales and CBCS sales, because unfortunately, I don't think there's another grading company that's even close to being able to put out the quality product that CBCS and CGC is putting out. Okay, quality and notations, but let's be honest.
Or the number. Or the number of books.
Yes.
Now, CGC is pumping books out.
Yeah. PGX, we laugh on that all the time. EGS, I'll say this about EGS. I think that, I commend them for trying to jump into that, but they're just not anywhere near the conversation yet.
No, they're too small.
Too small, yeah, too small. So it's very interesting to see what those sales will be and what the changes are going to be. Because before this new scandal, we were all saying, in order for CGC to come out and for us to, say, okay, we trust you again, you have to change your case, period. You have, that was my thought process before this recent scandal, with the Mark Jeweler switch outs. You have to change your case. You have to make it better tamper-proof.
Well, how do you feel about them allowing free accounts now to submit books? Like, you don't need a paid subscription account anymore. I mean, you get a bigger discount, right?
Well, CBCS has done that for forever.
Yeah, and I mean, to me screams that they're seeing less submissions than they were during COVID, and they're just trying to close the gap. That's all that says to me.
I'm going to send out...
They're down 2 employees, so, You know? Right? So maybe that now they're just chopping heads now, like, you know, we're not getting.
You're not wrong.
I think that, you know, at least Matt puts his, you know, I'll give it up to Matt. At least he has like the balls to come out on these YouTube shows. Like, you're never gonna fucking win. You're never gonna win. No matter like any owner of a business, somebody's gonna have a fucking problem with them.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. Whether it's a guy that sells cars, like there's recalls on cars and shit like that, and they, you know, put them through the ringer. But like at least Matt will come out and make an attempt. Like they need a PR person, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna go on an interview. Don't give some like fucked up hero hobby award like that. To me, that would have honestly that just I was shocked. I was like, why? It just looked creepy.
Yeah.
You know,
magician's trick. Look over here. Don't look over here. Look over
yeah,
here.
but that wasn't a good trick.
No.
Like I would have said like, hey, I appreciate what you guys brought to our attention. I'm gonna give you both of y'all 20 free submissions, something like that.
So here's
I appreciate
that.
that, and anybody that has knowledge and that we can clearly, like almost like a Crime Stoppers, we're going to reward you in a way that they're good with. Like if you found something out about somebody and they were stealing slabs and you called me, hey, and told the people at CGC, okay, here's my name, here's my address or whatever, and then you got 20 free submissions for doing that, fuck yeah, I'd be telling everybody, dude. Like,
well,
as much as they charge, absolutely.
Well, here's the crazy thing. So as much as they charge, and this is an open question, does anyone on the panel know what the warehouse material receiver makes an hour?
Oh, isn't it like $15 an hour or something like that?
They got a slight pay bump. It's up to $17 an hour. That's
Okay.
the person who's responsible for receiving and then initially cataloging things coming into them.
Oh my god.
So let's put that into perspective, everyone. You are sending hundreds to thousands of dollars of collectibles to a guy that is making slightly more than the guy at the local McDonald's.
that's why I always pay for signature verification.
Yep.
Whenever I ship to CGC, because once they scan it in, I got you. You're the guy that checked in my books, and you have them. Like I get an alert as soon as they get the books, because I submit for all my clients that I press their books for. So you goddamn right, I'm going to do signature verification. I don't care if it makes $10 an hour. I got you. Like as soon as that's scanned in, I don't care if you make $10, bro. Like,
Here's the other twist in all this. Apparently, right now they're looking for a manga expert. They just opened up a job position.
Mm-hmm.
You should jump all over that, Josh.
Josh,
Everyone keeps on telling Josh that he needs to apply for it.
It'd be sweet.
Yeah, be our inside person.
I'll take a couple trips to Tokyo when they open that new office up.
Binkies will hook you up for stolen books.
And that's where Matt missed an opportunity. You got a guy here in International that, like,
I know they never did like a hiring an international comic person, or I would have been
right.
like, hello.
Like Josh would have been like, and you can ask anybody. This dude like is
I don't know
like
about anybody.
clearly like one of the, I'd say top 10 out there that I know of international books. And then like as much as you know about manga, I would have hired you. Like, come see me. We'll have lunch. Let's talk about this.
Well,
Either
their
a
first
consultant
rule is you got
or-
to move to Florida, though, right? I mean, you can't.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Bro, you could have Zoom calls, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Josh is going to end up on the news, Florida man.
Yeah.
no, but like, you need some help. You're trying to slap video games and all these collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need some help, man. Get some experts, and there's plenty of them. Like, look at the YouTube community, man. There's people that do their homework and more than you. Like, you're the president. You can't be anywhere near that shit. You can't be grading invisible slabs. You can't be like, just the optics of it make it look unpure. Like, you got to get away from like playing around with the influencers and like, I don't want to see Matt Nelson hanging out with
anybody that makes money on comics.
Right. I don't want to see you tied with Clayton Crane. And I mean, that was bad. Like, this is bad, but this has made everybody forget about the whole green label, the 3-4 staples, the acetate. Like, if you really like let this marinate, if you were to do a timeline on all this bullshit during COVID and just make a timeline, like, it's bad. It's not just these couple of things.
Hey, Hood, if we know this much, what do we not know?
Oh, we don't know a lot.
It's Megacon. Of course you're going to see that.
Yeah, that's true. And Cardi, I know you're making a joke, but please be careful insinuating in any way that I'm racist.
I do know that.
Yeah, we don't do that shit around here.
I know you're making a joke, but
no,
I not you, Hood. Chat.
Yeah.
Somebody cracked a joke suggesting that I was slightly racist, and yeah, it's no, no. Walk out my front door if you think I'm slightly racist. I wouldn't be able to be slightly racist and survive in the area that I'm in. That would not end well for my health.
My man, when I met Binkies, like, you know, he was the most racist person I ever met in my life. I was like, he's not making me feel welcome in the city at all. Like, I was like, I gotta get the first flight out of here. Like,
you motherfuckers made me forget what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Hood. Somebody made a casual
it was a
joke,
good
but
point.
that's
It's probably the best point I had. Pieces of shit, man.
Hood, just blame me. I'm clearly slightly racist. Probably has something to do with it, right?
I don't understand.
No, now I know what I was going to say. So I remember, like, I used to watch Comic Tom when he first started up, right? I remember him
probably all did.
Dogging CGC, dogging him, and I was like, "Ooh, shit!" And that was right around the same time as what's his name, Sick.
Yeah, Billy.
Economics and Comics.
Did the whole, hey man, the whole regrading and stuff like that. When Comic Tom came out and started saying, hey, man, this doesn't look like this grade or whatever, man, 2 weeks later, he's up at the CGC facility, bro. And he's hanging with CGC.
Yeah.
Well,
so
what
does that
because I remember that video.
You remember, right?
It was the one where he was doing on-site grading at Emerald City Comic Con.
Yes.
Where he got like a book that was 3 times signed, 2 times on the cover, 1 time on the inside, and they only notated 2 of the signatures. Is that what you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
And
who
then
did that? Billy or Tom?
Comic Tom. So Comic Tom was doing his review over this, and then like, you know, just pointing out, I guess, problems or whatever that he's noticed, like, you know, because at that convention too, there's that big issue of people getting back their books at the end of the con, if you remember. Like, there were people that were like late to getting to their flights back home and everything, and then like it was like several hours even after the convention had closed.
That's cover.
So we have to take this moment to check in, to take a break in our regularly scheduled broadcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to a quick look in on Rob Liefeld whatnot.
Where are you buying?
Anybody else go to Megacon? Anybody got some?
Someone should let Rob know that CGC went to Megacon.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC is there, Rob.
Are you a CGC? Bryan? I love CGC.
That was fucking awesome.
All right, people. before our giveaway ends, we got still at 2.5 minutes. We're gonna put this pink splatter. Let me get the light on. You'll see it better. It
By the way,
really
his
stands
FOC
we got the pink
Thundercats
splatter
is actually really good. I give
right
Rob
here.
a lot of shit, but his Thundercats is actually really good.
Exclusive
Almost all of them are
Liefeld.
fantastic. I love the Thundercat.
And we're
and I'm
starting
not a
this at
fan of all these
$80.
variants,
I signed
but
it down here. I gave you my
they
Liefeld
did
chisel
it
with
right.
the pink splatter. It pops so much better than red on 3, on 2, on 1. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, buddy.
Hell yeah. That is actually really nice right there, dude.
This cover
It
came
was a
out
really
so
sharp
great.
cover.
I just love
Smelkin just
Lion-O.
the last
He's
second on
clearly
FOC.
without Lion-O, I don't have the same level of interest.
What do you think it sells for right now? What's everyone's guess?
150.
$200.
It's
Hey,
at
Brian,
120.
you remember when this guy was a rock star, bro?
He's still a rock star.
No, but like he was a phenom.
Most even weren't born when he was
18-year-old, 19-year-old in
Emmett.
this hobby. He was a fucking phenom.
Yes, Cosmic Carson, yes.
He was doing 501G.
Jay Crandall.
Fly
Yep.
ads.
There is a little
135.
dent at the bottom of this cover. So I am throwing in another Jay Crandall. I am throwing in this other exclusive of mine.
Well, look at the way
I'm going to
your
sign
hand
that. So that's a
There's a stent in the
I didn't
bottom.
see it until after I was auctioning it.
Jesus, man.
Signing the other one.
You are getting this on top of this, okay? So there you go.
Nice and pretty.
Jake Crandall, appreciate you. That's in our
Tell the
store, that's
story.
a $60
Let's see if he'll
add-on
tell the
item.
story.
I appreciate you. You know what? What the hell? Let's give him Jake Crandall. I'm going to give you this one.
Type
too.
it, Brian.
All right?
Tell him.
Just so you know, we're on the up and up, okay? I try not to let things like that slip by, but so you got at least double your value, okay? Those are coming to you. Let's see.
Great question, bro.
So the
market
giveaway, what this is a white is hard to check out. Here you go. So here's the giveaway. New York collectors in it to win it. He's got so many different identities. I think he's probably won 6 times and we don't know it.
And since we are in drama,
Here we go.
Did you see the Eric Larson drama from earlier this week, Brian?
Well, that's what I asked him. I said, tell us a nostalgic story about Image, because they just had their anniversary, right?
They
is he
did,
new to
and
knowing?
apparently Jim Valentino is
Hey,
finally
Hector,
talking back on
enjoy
Eric
my,
Larson's claims
Rob
that Eric
Liefeld
Larson saved
exclusive.
Image, and Valentino is trying to take credit now.
Wow.
Line art.
Where's that
Save
in
it
Twitter?
when?
Available on this.
I caught it on Bleeding Cool that kind of had the piece together recap of everything.
What should we do next, Mr. Dave?
When was it falling apart
We have
that it
your
needed to be
request.
saved?
We have
Gabe!
2004 I'm sorry!
is what Valentino is suggesting.
Tell
What's
him
he
the feds
saying?
are watching.
Tell them the feds are watching. No, I ain't gonna fuck with Rob Liefeld. He's cool. All right, let's see here. Let's take a look at this because this is something I definitely want to read about. For those of you guys that don't know, let me pause this. Let's get out of this. It's Image's 40th anniversary, 30th anniversary,
40th, I think.
40th.
Yeah.
92?
30th. Yeah,
90
third.
92, 93, the mass exodus.
32 years.
So it
32
says
years?
last
32 years ago.
Last week, Jim Valentino answered claims made on cartoonist kayfabe by Eric Larson, right as that he righted the ship over at Image. By the way, you guys, cartoonist kayfabe, again, I've said this before, I'm going to keep saying it every time their game comes up, the best content for comic book anything on YouTube. Period.
It's because all the creators talk to them. All of them.
Yep.
They can get anybody.
Yep. It says here, last week, Bleeding Cool ran an article in which Jim Valentino answered claims made on cartoonist kayfabe YouTube channel when interviewing Image Comics co-founder and former Image Comics publisher Eric Larson that he righted the ship over at Image Comics when taking over from Valentino as publisher. Bleeding Cool reproduced Valentino's statement in full, but we didn't expect that would be the end of it. But what was the original statement? Here's the Eric Larson interview from Cartoonist Kayfabe, and we reproduced the offending part below. All right. Can I play it? Well, let me play it. What is this?
Yeah, it just jumps to a screenshot.
Yeah, that's garbage. Eric, I remember when you took over publisher, and it seemed like comics as a whole. Let's just find this, dude. I'm not gonna read that. I'd rather just go steal some Cartoonist Kayfabe content. All right. Where was it? With Jeff, right? Larson? Eric Larson.
Eric Larson, yeah. And I think that interview may have been a while ago, because I think Valentino's been in and out of the hospital for a bit.
All right, let's see what we can get here. Transcript. Okay, and it starts off with where did that go? Did I just lose it? That was weird. I lost it. There we go. All right. 10 months ago. Wow. Yeah. All right. Show transcript.
Knowing YouTube, it probably still isn't. Oh, there it is. Dennis.
I sent Dennis the link. He can come in here if he wants. What's he saying? Is he losing it?
No, he just said, this is my favorite part of the show where Bryan Stoner's Googling.
It's the truth.
I may or may not be Googling something else. Just on my own, in my own world right now. Just saying.
I interviewed Dennis for the show that I have on Tales. We talked so long; it was a three-parter. You get talking to Dennis, man. This guy's got so many stories and so much knowledge, man. It's
yeah.
You know,
so much fun,
Dennis,
so much fun to talk to.
Dennis is me in about 20 years, bro.
Hood, you just make me laugh, man.
You got to laugh at life, bro.
Amen. Amen.
But if you ever get a chance to share,
Yeah, Jim and I have no hard feelings that you didn't choose our villain.
It's always good company.
Oh, well, I'm not going to look for it. You guys can
good
look for
restaurant
it.
to eat at.
Thank you.
That's too much for me right now. All right.
Well, I mean, I can give the quick rundown.
Yeah,
for anybody.
give me that rundown.
So the question that was issued from Cartoonist Kayfabe was, Eric, I remember you took over as publisher, and it seemed like comics as a whole, the industry was in this very low down cycle. Was there a necessity? Were you guys looking like Image was in trouble and needed to try something new? What's the process of changing a publisher at Image, when you were there? So Eric responded with, in this particular case, what had gone on is Jim Valentino is running the show, and Jim had some really strong connections in the indie crowd, so he brought in a bunch of indie guys, and he wasn't getting a lot more of the mainstream Marvel or DC guys to come over, because mostly he didn't have a real strong connection with a lot of those people. At the same time, I kept hearing rumblings from people going, I'd like to pitch a book at Image, but it keeps getting rejected by Jim Valentino. Would be too much to a blow to my ego. It's probably not something that I should be saying on this podcast. Eric then also went on to say, I could see that there was something wrong where there's this kind of, where our comics were kind of becoming a more weird and fringe thing. The audience wasn't necessarily receptive to all of it, and there are a lot of comics that were starting out and just dying really quick. You had these stories that would never get finished, and they were just hanging on forever. And me being the anal guy that I am, I was just like, I must have these things resolved. I can't let everything be hanging there. It's driving me crazy. So I muscled my way in. And it was kind of a dick move on my part, but I feel that the ship just needed to be righted. We're going to go towards the rocks, and if we don't get going on a course which is putting out stronger books and having a more hands-on art direction, we could be in real trouble. So that was like 10 months ago in that Cartoonist Kayfabe interview. So Valentino, who apparently was just recently hospitalized, just got out for pneumonia. Weird how that works. I was talking to the guys earlier. Don't get pneumonia. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So the comment just came out from Jim, and he said basically he's taking exception. So Jim said, about a year or so ago on the Cartoonist Kayfabe, boys repeated Eric Larson's quote, "Writing the ship is his excuse for ousting me as Image publisher. I took exception to this and to them, and they generously offered me the opportunity to tell my side of the story. I declined. I couldn't do it then, but after my recent stay in the hospital, I find that I'd really like to set the record straight. Creators I brought into Image during my time as publisher include Kurt Busiek, Mark Waid, George Perez, J.R. Jr., Warren Ellis, Frank Cho, Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor, Ted McKeever, Kevin Smith, Tom DeFalco, Ross Ritchie, and Joseph Michael Linsner, among a handful of others. A few of the books I published during my time as publisher included The Walking Dead, Invincible, Ministry in Space, Powers, Red Star, Fire Breather, Noble Causes, The Pro, the Guerrilla Comics imprint, Leave It to Chance, oversized volumes, Liberty Meadows, Blunt Man and Chronic, and Jim Bufood's Stupid Comics. I had just brought in an old friend, Matt Wagner, with the seminal comic Mage, as well as on the verge of bringing in other major talent who would have brought over their entire catalogs to us. And I'm not even going to mention about the editorial help I gave to both The Walking Dead and Invincible. I don't consider any of these to be, quote, shitty comics. When I inherited Image in 1999, it was a wasteland of semi-professional books, swimsuit issues, and misogynistic titillation comics. The Image I had lost its luster. Image books weren't selling, the brand was tainted by amateurs, and established talent was avoiding us like the plague. More than that, the company was not profitable. I felt that Image deserved better, so I scorched the earth to rebuild from the ground up. I raided the ship. I opened the book trade in the library market. I found heretofore untapped revenue streams that allowed me to make the company profitable again. And by the time I left, the company was in the black for 3 years straight, which was a first for Image at any time. It wasn't easy, but I believed that my vision for Image Comics books, based on quality rather than content in the genre, which Eric Stevenson has continued and expanded upon, was the right one for the company. I hate having to justify myself. I couldn't stay silent any longer.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's tired. He made it out of the hospital, and he's like, probably stewed on it, and he's like, fuck it, I need to say something. When I talk about this all the time, it especially happens as men, and I think especially when you get older, you realize that there's this thing that happens where you think somebody's taking a shot at you, and that initial feeling that you get where it's just like, fuck, I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that, and then it's usually takes a certain period of time for that thought to turn into like, what am I doing? Like, this is ridiculous. How long that time takes is super important. Some of us, it takes years. Some of us, it takes a couple of days, but for those people that it takes a long time, man, those people are like, I gotta say something. I have to fight back. I have to, and most men feel that way, and he has the right to. He fucking ran Image Publishing. He was one of the originals. He's one of the OGs. Speaking of OGs, what up, Dennis? How you doing, brother?
What's up, guys?
Chilling. All right, let me fix your mic here before we get started.
Before we'll go deaf.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. So All right.
Look,
Let's hear.
All you guys wear headphones. I never wear headphones because I can't even listen to my own voice.
Well, I don't hear myself.
Yeah, I don't hear myself.
Yeah.
I hear myself right here. This is how you hear yourself.
Yeah, we know. We can tell. We can hear you too. All right. So, without getting into your hate for CGC, is there any way? Is there any way?
You want me to break the internet tonight, guys? You want me to break the internet?
Yes.
All right.
Every
how many
night.
people we got watching? How many people we got watching?
211.
All right. I'm going to be the first person to mention this. And as people start digging, I want everybody to remember who said this first. Undergrade Gate. There was a rumor around the convention circuit. Emmett, you're old enough to remember this shit. Maybe, I don't know if it ever hit the East Coast. But there were people who worked for CGC that would come to all of the big conventions. This is around circa 2008, 2009, 2010. And they would come to the show with a list. And it had names of dealers and names of books, and it had serial numbers sometimes. And they would go, oh, okay, yeah, let's go over here. And they'd go, oh, hey, can we see that Punisher 129 there? Oh, okay, you got that priced right at market. Okay. Can I see that giant size X-Men 1 you have up there? Can I see that Golden Age book that you have there? And this was all on dealer day. And I remember this guy coming up to my booth. He only bought Raws from me because I would have banger Raws because I really didn't submit a lot to CGC. But his taste was at a certain level. And I remember bitching about this guy, guys. Emmett, you know, as us dealers and all the rest of you guys, as we sit around and cock and bull at the end of the show, and we'll have dinner and we'll have drinks and we're at the bar. And I'm like, who's that little shit that was buying all those books from you? And they're like, oh, you don't know him? He works for CGC. And it's really weird. Every show he comes around with a list of the stuff that I just got graded at CGC, and he buys so much of it. And I was like, well, why? And then one of the dealers chimed up. He goes, that motherfucker did that to me last year, and I recognized the book. And I'm throwing the numbers out because I don't remember all the specifics, but just bear with me. You'll understand the scam. I got an 8.5 on that book, and that book was a 9.0 all day. I was hoping it was going to get a 9.2. And it had this little mark on the edge, and that was the only flaw in the entire thing. And sure enough, I saw that book after he bought it from me at 8.5, and he didn't even haggle on the price. He bought it from me at 8.5, and I kid you not, 3 months later, I saw that book on eBay, and it was a 9.4, and it had the exact same little mark in the exact same little spot. And I knew those little sons of bitches were buying those books back, getting them graded themselves, and sure enough, they got the grade it was supposed to get. And as I started talking to all these dealers, now here's the thing. I don't remember names. I'm like that line in the Bon Jovi song, I've seen a million faces and I've rocked them all, okay? And
I love you, bro. You're the best.
And honestly, but I remembered that face. And then when this whole scandal came out, I started emailing some of those old school dealer friends of mine that we're still friends with on Facebook because we're old and we have Facebook. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're talking about this guy. And he sends me a picture of him. I'm like, oh, my God, that's fucking him. And this guy, like, I had this, you know, the Golden Age monkey brain horror pre-code?
Yeah.
Okay, I had that book on my wall at Wizard World Chicago. And he zeroed in on it. And I'm like, I priced it triple. I was like, this can't be better than a 4.0. But I priced it triple what the 6.0 price was from Guide. Because I know all of those all those pre-code horror guys downgrade all of the books in Overstreet so they could buy them cheap when they hit the market. And this guy was like, "Where'd you come up with this price at?" I don't know. I had it like $1,000 on it. Sure enough, I put that in the back of my head. I put that in my eBay search. And sure enough, about 2 months, 3 months after he bought it, that book got a 6.0 grade from CGC. No way in hell that could have been a 6.0, but he got a 6.0, the little shit that worked for CGC that bought it from me. And so I have his name, but here's the thing. I kind of want the community to start digging, start talking to those old dealers from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, who were those first early adapters. Within about a year of this is when CGC screwed me, and I walked away. I just said, F you guys. You're all corrupt little scumbags, this little shit weasel fuck that I know was... But the thing is the only way you could have that list, and know which dealers were getting them was from CGC itself. And this guy worked for CGC, and you're probably going to figure it out. And then I found out, just like after this scandal broke and I started talking to him, he left CGC, then came back, then left CGC again to go do something else. And now, guess what? He just came back.
Ooh.
So all of you little sharks out there that do all your little digging, you want to get the Dennis Barger Hero Award? Let's uncover these scumbags. Let's take the fucking fire to them, and let's upturn the tables, and let's fucking burn CGC to the ground.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't see why this can't happen. The same thing can't happen with every other grading company. I mean, there's got to be something to, it happens at CBCS too. Not necessarily the same way, but we.
Have you noticed that a scandal at CGC is amplified by this many voices? But any scandal at CBCS is amplified by this many voices?
I don't know, Dennis. Let's be honest. I agree with you. But these last two CGC-ish things, have blown up bigger than any CBCS scandal.
Oh, I trust me, I know, and dude. That's why this smile has been permafrosted on my face for the last.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm not the crazy lunatic that everybody said I was.
No, but it's
you just
really
need a tinfoil
shitty.
hat, man. You just need a tinfoil hat.
It's amazing how the last 3 years have turned almost every conspiracy into reality.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, this is what kind of sucks, though. Anytime you have an unregulated industry, period, corruption's going to happen. It's just,
well, see, here's the thing.
and even regulation doesn't necessarily fix it. But.
Yeah.
Binge, we start by regulating ourselves.
Yeah,
and I guarantee
100%.
you, do you know what would happen if CGC sent me the wrong package? I would send that back because especially an autograph book, that's somebody who waited in line. That's somebody who wanted that book signed.
Yeah,
you've got to do the right thing, and you've got to call Monday morning and
He'll send it back.
To send you a label.
Yeah.
He'll
and that's the
send it
thing
back.
with me. I've been sick with COVID and everything else. So I've just been out of it since it showed up.
But you're fully vaxxed, Binksy. How?
That's a different show.
Yeah, that's a different show. You might want to call Ethan Van Skyver for that one. I'll probably talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Why does Ethan have a new book coming out? Because that's the only time I ever heard from his ass.
Well, speaking of drama and more drama, I heard we've got some news on Mr. Epic Nation coming from Megacon.
There he is.
Oh, he showed up?
He did. This is what I will say out of respect to the individual that is involved that reached out to me. I won't say much of anything besides look at my Instagram posts and connect the dots. Now, with that being said, the person who has the story to break, it is their choice if they so choose to break said story. You might be hearing from him on Wednesday or Thursday.
And he has a podcast that maybe we might like to hear on.
It's true. So you may hear something on the Comic-Con podcast regarding what happened. That's how I know what happened. But let's just say folks don't like paying their bills that they promise. This is what I've heard.
Yeah. Well.
Hey guys. Reef, what do you? Can you extrapolate on that? Reef in the chat.
What did he say?
It says Dennis' story is collaborated. It started in about 2002.
Oh, the grading undergrade gate.
Undergrade gate. I'm trademarking that. I'm going to make the shirts and everything.
Yeah. Well,
get it right.
It makes sense. That's
put it up on your Whatnot show.
Yeah. The undergrade thing is it makes sense. It would be one of the first things that one of the first scams that I think people would think of doing, working inside one of these things. But the problem is that these people. One of the reasons these new people got caught is because CGC has a thing where you can't sell collectibles if you work there. I wonder if that came into being because of this undergrade gate thing.
Well, you would think if they didn't just rehire the guy who I know is the dealer that all the dealers told me is the guy who kind of orchestrated it, and he was very high level at CGC.
I know who you're talking about. He's in that video.
Oh, is he?
Bryan, play that video. Hey, we're at Megacon.
Oh yeah, play it.
And see if you see said person.
Yeah, okay, got it.
He's here. We wouldn't miss it.
It's Megacon, of course CGC, trading your comics, cards, games, and movies.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC has great prizes and giveaways.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC has express drop-off. Make sure to fill out your submission forms ahead of time, and we're ready to take your submissions. It's Megacon. Of course CGC has trade show staff to help. Just ask.
It's Megacon. Of course CGC
That
has
him?
experts here to look at your books.
No.
It's Megacon. Of course
That's
CGC
not him?
wants to see your
Well, I don't know. It's been 10 years since I've seen him, and he didn't have all the tats then. What's that guy's name?
Matt.
He's one of the main guys, and he's left and come back.
But what's his name?
I don't want to give out any false.
I don't want to dox the name. But
I
think that's the guy who used to run the Signature series, and that's the guy who witnessed my pristine X-Men 21s that ended up getting dropped on the corner and pretended like, oh, I must have missed those dings when I was processing them.
Yeah.
Dennis, I heard, and again, I can't validate it, but this is what I heard through the grapevine. Speaking of that story, I heard from folks that were in New York this past year that they dropped an entire pallet of books, and it was like witnessed by people watching what was going on.
I mean, here's the thing, and Bryan, for the overall principle of what your question was, is are you still going to use CGC? CGC is literally a Russian roulette pistol with 3 bullets in the chamber at all times. It's going to get you somehow. Are you willing to take the risk?
Well, if you're sending in 25 books a week, it's still you can take a couple hits and make more in the return.
Okay,
if you're
you know what? That's fine. You can pull that trigger 5 times and not hit a bullet. But what are they going to hit with the one time when you send in your AF-15 and it comes back detached cover?
Yeah, I get you, dude. I get you.
We've all watched our brothers Hood and Leg and Ben open up their submissions and go, how the fuck is that a 9.4? How the fuck is that a 9.2? I pressed this myself. There's not a flaw on this. We've all seen a half-price crook do the same thing. There's a certain point where you are literally playing with a loaded gun, and you don't want to be Alec Baldwin, and you don't want to be John Voight, or not John Voight, Christopher Walken in Deer Hunter. You know what I'm saying? That's your 2 options.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like we said, there's so many of these people are only grading their books to make money off of them. Period. I mean, the vast majority are sending in books to get graded with CGC to sell them as soon as possible. Get them in, send them. The people that are sending in the AF-15s are I would say probably half of those people are doing it to auction them off, right? So unfortunately,
if you've got big books like that, AF-15, like I'm flying to Florida.
Emmett had the perfect
with a briefcase.
response to this.
he did in his second video recently. I agree.
No. Well, no, I'm talking about just tonight. He said, "Look, I send it to the auction house, and the auction house picks the thing, and that's the smartest move because here's the thing: the auction house is going to get a way better grade. Well, maybe
yes,
not.
sir. Oh, you are right. They do get a better grade, and they get it at a cheaper price.
And that price is still paid by you in the actualized value. So, the thing is we would never be able. Hood, would you be able to crack and press a 9.6 with a 1/4-inch spine tick and get a 9.8?
No.
Who would get that? Oh, Heritage. That's who.
Yeah.
Look,
One of the things
Hakes even gets a good. Listen, I had a first appearance of Galactus that I had to sell because I needed the money, right? So I sent it to I gave it to them raw, and I thought it was a 6.5. I looked over the book quite a bit. They sent it in, it came back 7.5, and then Hakes put it against an 8.0 in the same auction, so it underperformed anyway.
Well, here's something you also brought up in your recent video when talking about fair market value and stuff, right? What they're charging on this, and I want to get back to this since I have you guys in here. You said that you think that fair market value should be based on raw sales. Right? Can you talk about that again, real quick, Emmett? What your feelings on that?
So my feeling on that is if CGC is basing the value of the book on their grading, the sales of their graded books, which are at the top end, that 4%, and I'm only talking about the stuff where where you have to pay that 4%. And I guess what most people would tell me is don't send it in as an unlimited price book. Well, then you don't get the insurance of an unlimited price book.
Yeah.
If you're sending in your AF-15, you're going to send that in as $1,000 book, so you don't have to pay the 4%, right? So you're paying 4%. So it should be based on a raw book. Otherwise, if it's on a CGC book, which gets the highest dollar, and if they're taking in what Heritage sells them for, which nobody gets those prices but Heritage, you're paying so much more to CGC to grade that book.
But I'll add one more fact to that. If let's just say the book is worth, I don't know what their price breaks are because, like I said, I don't use CGC anymore. But if you send in a book that you think is worth $5,000, and then the threshold is $10,000, and they get to hit you with this 4% fee.
What's going to stop them from giving you a book a better grade than it is?
Thumb on the scale, and then guess what? Their greed to get that 4% trigger price.
It's exactly what my point I was
puts
making.
The book out into the market, and I was watching yours, and I was reading the same damn chats that you were, Emmett, and I was like, "You fucking idiots! How do you not see that this is exactly what Emmett's saying?"
Yeah.
Well, the incentive for them to get the greed to then put an overgraded book into the market is exactly part of this whole greed. And I made my first comment tonight. Hold on, my first comment tonight is those two scumbags that fuck CGC and their customers, they were surrounded
by scumbags.
A corporate greed factory that is guilty of all of this greed and corruption legally, and they see all of these scams that are run by a legitimate corporation. Why wouldn't they try to take advantage of it? Why wouldn't they be influenced by the greed of everybody?
People follow their leaders.
I'll go you one better. Like the pre-screen 9.8 is your best bet to run the gauntlet. It's your best bet. They don't want to send you, if you send 25 books in pre-screen 9.8, do you think you're going to get 18 of them back that didn't make the cut? I mean, for most people that know what a 9.8 looks like in a modern book,
unless they don't like you.
Unless they don't like you, right?
I see a lot of people.
Like, I sent off 25. What is that? Strange Academy #1s. I did those for Blue Green pre-screen. I got 24 out of 25 9.8s. There was a couple of them that had color rub, and I was like, okay. Man, that makes me
Color Rub
look
shouldn't
good.
get
That
you a
makes me
9.8.
look real good.
Color Rub
I'm
shouldn't
talking
get you a
shit.
9.8.
Right.
What's that?
No,
Color
the,
Rub shouldn't get you a 9.8.
No,
well,
man.
a
You know,
9.9
we got
can have
Pre-screen
a.
to get you a 9.8. They don't want to make.
Printer defect.
They're grading your book. They're doing the same thing. They don't want to make $7 when they can make $25.
But can
But it's
can
subjective.
Are you kidding?
It's subjective.
And plus the pre-screening. So now you know that if you pre-screen them, you're going to get 9.8s, that you're going to pay for the pre-screen. So now you're not paying 25.
you watch?
And then if
They're
you
gonna
need-
start.
if-
They're gonna start hitting those. They're gonna be like,
Well,
no more,
and
no
Hood,
more.
If
This
you
is
want to
where
get
they-
that
this
book
is where
up
they
on
fuck
eBay
you
by
guys.
next week, you're going to pay for the walkthrough.
Hey, I'm
So you're
just
not
giving you
paying-
some cornbread if you want to go that
know,
route.
but Hood,
But
this
I'm
is
just
where-
telling you.
This is how they fuck you guys. So if I sent 25 books to you like BG did to get you to press them and then submit them to get 24 out of 25, CGC don't make no money off of that other than the $25. But if they pre-screen your books, I'm spending less with you. I'm only sending you the one that got kicked back if I don't have you in the mix. So now you're out $10 or $15 a press.
Yeah, but what do they
Allegedly.
care? Yeah.
Allegedly. So you know what's interesting about pre-screens as well? CGC won't give you graders notes on pre-screen rejects.
Absolutely not. It's an extra fee.
Yeah, it's explicitly stated in their terms. Like, we will not give you.
Pre-screen is designed for, honestly, brand new books. That's what it's designed for. Like, hey, these just came out. I got 25 of them. They're fucking 9.8s. Give me my 9.8.
They've never been touched or opened.
Right.
Just, yeah.
You're-
Pop, pop,
and,
pop, pop.
And the
Directed
grader
from
sees all of
publisher.
them. Oh, these are all brand new. 9.8. There you go. Don't send pre-screen 9.8 for bronze because you ain't gonna fucking. They'll send them right back to you. They're like, this fucking idiot. you know?
Have Yee and Bryan, I know you're big in the sports card market. Josh, you dabble a little, don't you?
A little bit.
Have you been seeing a lot of the videos about a lot of the CGC slabs that are arriving open and with loose cards?
Not only that, they're having issues with CGC slabs, like the same type of issues that we're having with comics.
And I heard one guy talking about the heat to make the seal is actually taking some of those weird foils and curling them in the cases as well.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if you've played with old, with foil cards and stuff, but
cup.
you get, huh?
They cup.
Yeah, and
When you get 'em
so
hot.
you send them a flat card, and of course everybody knows you can't press trading cards.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Which I'll have to talk to you off the chat, Redhood. But when you put those cards in that plastic and then you heat seal them, the heat and the compression of sealing those very easily openable boxes makes the cupping happen on the card. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of this guy? He goes by Rattle Pokemon on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just
So
watched
that's what I was.
last night.
That's one of the things I was about to bring up. Are you guys familiar with Omega Slabs?
Yeah.
No, what is it?
So Omega Slabs, specifically, you're seeing them in the Pokemon market primarily right now. So Omega Slabs it's a mystery, pre-built mystery box thing. It was run by Sean. What is Sean's last?
I'm trying to find that. Yeah.
Sean Basic.
Basic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does that sound familiar?
This guy.
It does sound familiar. I think he was in Whatnot for a while.
He was. So Sean was sending uncut sheets
Right
of
here.
Pokemon cards.
It's time. We're taking a look.
Here, check it out. Is this the whole thing? Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead and talk about it. I'll just play it and mute it.
So Sean was sending pre-cut sheets or uncut sheets of Pokemon cards to CGC, and CGC started grading them as miscuts and things like that. Sean apparently also has a relationship with the CGC card people, as well as a relationship with a number of Whatnot dealers.
Pokemon sheet into the dining room.
Yep. And then mysteriously these things started showing up as 10s, and now folks are cracking these things, and obviously it's like any of your other Walmart branded bullshit mystery slabs, and people are pulling out mislabeled slabs, slabs of like just bullshit things that CGC is grading and giving 10s on that like have nothing to do with anything. The whole thing is a fucking mess, and
it's what I've been screaming for the last 2 to 3 years, and I screamed it in your chat, Brian, and you know I'm right. CGC is a company for sale. If you go to them with enough money and enough influence, they will bend over and do whatever you want.
There you go.
Because when people are forming their decision on what they think of this, of the product.
So, more CGC right here. I mean,
and this is why I use PSA. So shout out to PSA. Grade my cards high. Come on, man.
CGC jumped in to this market, and because they're not sports cards, for some reason the great TCG market gravitated towards CGC slabs for their cards. They took a huge market share.
Them is faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well, I said it early and first. I said, if you're a comic book person and you collect Marvel cards, you're gonna use CGC because you want your card collection to look like your comic collection. I mean, it was a smart move.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So follow this guy on Twitter. He actually went over your video the other day with Thorough, I believe.
Hood. Oh, we did?
I think so. Let me see.
Yeah, right. So Rattle has been he's not the biggest fan of Whatnot. He had a really interesting video. There's a Whatnot mystery game. Well, fair.
Hey guys, welcome.
So he recently had a video. It was from a Whatnot Pokemon streamer that was doing carnival games, and Rattle found out that this person was a literal magician.
Yeah.
He has his magic tricks on YouTube.
Yeah.
And was just showing how he was pulling scams in his mystery games and whatnot, and just nothing's being done about it.
Oh wow!
Oh, he does like sleight of hand or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. Rattle is really, really, really good at exposing a lot of the Pokemon stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of I saw a lot of people saying in the chat, like, why does it matter about the fair market value and stuff? And I still don't understand why people don't get that. Like, what are people missing to not understand that? You know what I mean?
They don't understand they're paying a percentage on the fair market value.
They don't realize that, you think? Right. So for those of you guys
that sending in books that are worth more than $1,000.
Gotcha.
Right.
That's okay. Okay.
And as long as you give them some meat on the bone, they're going to take it. And any smart business would.
Absolutely.
I think they need to, if they want to be transparent, they need to have like Matt has all these little videos about talking about how to submit. Don't leave any meat on the bone. If your book is worth that amount, send it in that tier.
Well,
they're going to take it from you anyway.
Yeah, but here's also the other thing. If you're sending in a book and you're saying that it's a 9.8 and you're declaring a 9.8 value, then why the fuck do we need graders?
Well,
I'm just saying, if suddenly my assumption of what the book is going to be is what it should be worth, then why am I paying insurance based on that value?
Well, that's what I did with when you sell books. What sell? Like, if you got an ASM 300 that's flawless, raw, is that going to sell? Like a slab?
I sent my Hank Aaron into PSA, and it came back, and we had to fair market value it. We were like, well, this is definitely a 3 or 4 if it comes back right. So I had to pay the grade tier for, a $4,000, $5,000 card. And it came back altered trim worth $1,500. I'm like, do I get a refund on the extra I paid? Like, no.
Fuck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what?
Fuck you too.
Well, that's why you just make them bump you up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Take the chance and just make them bump you up. That's what I did on. I just did an 82 card submission, and I put in some cards where I'm like, hey, I don't know what they're going to say the fair market value is, but I'm going to make them bump me up. Yeah. But again,
but don't kill yourself.
You're not doing that with big cards.
Then what do you get if they lose your card?
Exactly.
Right. If you say
whatever you declare,
it's 400. Right. If I say it's 400 and it's a $3,000 book, but I want to pay the $400 tier, they're going to steal my book.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's just like it's such a nightmare conundrum. You know.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in.
I'll agree with Doc Joe on that one. You're going to have that same question in the back of your head with any grading company, but at a certain point, you've gotta trust the company. And I just, ever since my incident in 2013, plus all those stories that I had heard from the old timers, I just couldn't trust CGC ever again. And they've yet to unvalidate my decision.
Yeah.
You know,
I also think there's a dirty connection between Whatnot and CGC. Whatnot is desperate for somebody to buy them. They've stayed private so that some big company would buy them. They got a $1.5 billion valuation. Valuation, but they owe $484 million to investors that they've done 6 rounds of. So they're burning money as much as people say as they're making. They're burning it because they just got a bunch more money.
That stopped last year. They tightened everything up very tight, and they realized that they were wasting a ton of money. I mean, you could hear that. You could hear the tightening of those purse strings. You know what I mean? From across the country, it was so obvious, and all that money, advertising money that they were spending to put a freaking rink in the middle of NYCC or to buy out a building in San Diego, wasn't happening anymore. And they
sending
weren't
people to the fucking moon.
Yeah,
but they're still they still were helping people who were people they brought in whose auctions didn't do well, and they were making it right. And guys have said that on this show.
Yeah, Binky. Blue Green has talked about that before, or very early. They said, hey, why don't you do a graded slab sale, and if any of your slabs sell for under fair market value, we'll give you fair market value for them.
Now, how's that a fair market?
Bolo, if you're watching, I'm still waiting for my phone call because he lost me a lot of money in New York. So just call me up and make good on that, Bolo.
But that's the thing. What's the fair market value now? If the fair market is what somebody's willing to pay for it. So and how is it a fair market if I can't go and then get that same deal? Like everybody who's on their channel. Yeah. That's not a fair marketplace. America is about a fair marketplace.
This is why we talked for 2 hours, Emmett. We are so on the same page with so many things.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, the crux and the conundrum as well is when you're doing nothing to lift the bottom and you're relying on the top to, quote, be a feeder system, which is just never going to work.
And then when as soon as a better system comes along, eBay obviously didn't think they were good enough to buy because they came up with their own system. eBay bought TCG Player and made them stop selling comic books on their website. That was the company they wanted to buy. They bought them. They could have bought. Listen, Whatnot is for sale. It is for sale.
So here's what I would say: the TCG Player purchase wasn't as much about that as it was getting the technology to scan things.
Yeah.
It was all about that.
Absolutely. But they did make them. They were supposed to move into baseball cards because I deal a lot on TCG Player. I'm a pro dealer there, and I sell a ton of stuff. And I was doing great in comics until they just shut it down.
And then we actually skip out on the bigger culprit is the relationship between eBay and CGC.
Probably.
That's right where this woman, Scammer's wife, works for the authentication department. Yep, exactly. Pyramid scheme.
Well, eBay and CGC.
You heard me talk about that the other night. They're all connected. They're all connected.
All of them. And guess what? I've been bitching about all of them way before all you kids have.
Yeah. Well, The problem is that there's a lot of money to be made with them. That's the fucking problem. It will always be a problem. And you know, I'm sending 25 books to CGC next week, and then the week after that I'm sending 25 more, and the week after that I'm sending 25 more. Until that changes, I'm gonna use the tools in my tool belt. You know what I mean?
Right. How many times have you, like, because here's the thing, honestly, you don't report on it when I have a record-breaking sale on a CBCS 9.8.
What was that?
Never have ever reported on one of my record sales.
Say one of them, and I bet you that's not true.
The black and white Black Superman, Obama Superman.
I reported on that. You sent me the information. I reported on it. You DM'd it to me.
Well, right, but here's the thing.
Oh, you mean on the market report? Well, here's why. Here's why. Because the market report is mostly me looking through eBay. I'm not getting people aren't sending them to me.
Guess what? But eBay, what do they call it? Supplants or blacklists anything that's CBCS. You did that actually in a report.
Yeah.
Where you type in CBCS.
Yeah, it comes up
brings
CGC.
up nothing but CGC books.
Yeah. Well, why does it do that? Because CGC has such a big name that people are putting CBCS, not CGC.
No, because eBay uses CGC and CGC
They
pays
could.
eBay money
They
to
could.
make them the official place.
I agree. I don't see why they couldn't. I mean, you know, they're
very possible.
Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah.
The technology's
well,
there.
what I'm saying is that's our job. It just like that, whatever his name is, Kleco or what the guy who busted this story. His job is to search all these people's names and all the record books to see who's filing lawsuits against them and who them and blah blah blah. It's just like all of the guys, Decor and Thorough.
What the fuck happened to Decor? Decor just poof, gone.
He's taking a
Well,
break
because he got hacked.
Yeah, he got hacked,
Didn't
but
he get hacked by the Bitcoiners?
he did, but he hasn't been on chat or anything. I haven't seen him anywhere. You know.
My
Bummer.
understanding is he's taking a break to be with his family after
Oh,
all,
okay.
just the stress and
Yeah.
shenanigans that have gone
Yeah.
on.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
What I'm saying is it's our job. Emmett is nailing it with his job over there on his channel.
You're
I think
right.
It's all of our responsibility to bring up all of these issues. And when we see inequities and when we see backroom deals and we see this kind of corruption to try to influence our industry to a non-beneficial place, we got to call it out.
But and I agree we got to call it out, but we also hold on. I agree we have to call it out. I agree, but we also have to look at it from an outside point of view with a little bit of empathy, because if we don't, we're letting that ideology, that hate for CGC influence us, when we should be saying to these guys, hey, let us help you. Let us say, hey, we think you have a problem here, rather than fuck you, you got a fucking problem, fuck off.
Brian, you're rationalizing it.
It's too big.
You
It's
said it
too big
yourself.
not
Hold on,
to.
Brian, let me finish my sentence and then you can yell at me. You said it yourself. I got 25 books this week. I got 25 next week, and I just want to sell them because I want the money. You've got to be able to say, fuck the money. Fuck the
A lot
money.
of us can't, though, Dennis. A lot of us
You know
can't
what?
when
Yes,
they're
you
paying.
can, because I have broken more records with CBCS than any of you people, because I hold out for what the book is worth. I sell the book. I don't sell the piece of paper in the plastic slab.
Okay. So let's talk about that. If you feel so strongly about this, why don't you give me the money that I'm going to lose on my CBCS sales?
Why would I give you that?
You're so big on me saying fuck the people, hold out when I need and I'm not saying I need the money, but you know, I need them. What if I need the money, or if somebody needs the money to pay? These are how they're paying their bills.
You know, the same way all of us do. Emmett said, hey, I had to get rid of my 48 because I needed some money, so I sent it off to the grading company, and they did it.
I agree.
But the thing is,
I agree.
Here's the thing. We've had this conversation over the last 3 years.
Yes.
You need to operate within your budgets, because when you get desperate, that's when the entire market tanks.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
So I'm just saying, man, I'm behind you, Brian, but when you make statements like that and you don't, you say, look, I just want the money.
Hey, listen, I'm not infallible, man. I'm not infallible. You know me. My biggest thing is to say that I'm willing to change my mind. As a matter of fact,
try to Google for something.
I love I love these fucking conversations because this helps me create a better opinion and create a better idea on everything, not just fucking CGC. Life.
You know what
matters.
you have to watch for, really, Brian? What you guys have to watch for is when dealers stop buying. That's when the market crashes. I never stop buying. I'm always buying. If the guy down the street from me is not buying it, you come bring it to me, because when dealers stop buying, the market crashes fast. Wait,
and
I bought this from you for 50. You won't even give me 25? Now I don't even want it. When that happens, it crashes.
Yeah. You end up saying, fuck this.
When I stop buying is when I start dying. That's been my quote for over 20 years.
Yep.
You know, if we were in a comic shop and we were having this conversation, I think they would tell us to leave.
Brian just did.
But we would be probably standing in like Dennis's store or Haven for Heroes store, right?
No, just you know what? Let's all of us go to a LCS and like just randomly start talking about it and just hooting and hollering about this. Man.
See, the thing is, very nice.
To see how fast we get kicked out of a comic book store? Is that what you're saying?
So like, I'm a guy, my bread and butter is not any of those big books, right? I got a wall full of books, and they sell every once in a blue moon. But do you know how many 50-cent and dollar books I sell?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shitload, I'm sure.
That is my bread and butter. I have $6,000 books, and I probably have another 4,000 50-cent books. And Digger's Paradise, and people just come and dig and dig and dig.
Well,
that's my bread and butter.
Like, to me, that is the market. And if you talk to dealers that really are, this is their day to day, that's what they'll tell you is you can have all the $6,000 books you want, and the bottom line is you got to find somebody with $6,000 in their pocket that wants the book. How many people got 2 quarters laying around?
And that's why eBay. That's why the whole thing on eBay, because that's the only place you really can move big books quickly.
Yeah, you
can move them in your shop, but they moving every day.
I had 2 of the biggest comic book store owners come into my store the week after I opened it. It's Jamie and Teresa from Pack Rat Comics. They're Eisner Award winners out of Columbus, Ohio. So they came up to my store because they're friends of mine and they wanted to see what I was doing. Plus, they wanted to see if I was just actually. I opened April 1st, so they thought it was an April Fool's joke that I was actually. And they walked around the store, and they were like. And so Jamie comes up and goes, "No new books." I'm like, "Nope, no new books." And Teresa's like, "Is this all the stuff that's too cheap to sell on Amazon and eBay?" I'm like, "Yep." I built an entire store of $5 and $2 and $1 SKUs. And we're pulling right now with the other second store now. I mean, we're pulling numbers that I never pulled when I was paying a Diamond bill and watching Diamond kick the shit out of my box every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Luna's no better.
Money straight from you.
Lunar dropped me down to 35%. So after shipping, I'm making about 30%. I give my subscribers 15% off, so I'm making 15% on that book. Not including, that's not taking out my rent, the light, anything. So DC wonders why I'm not buying their books. One is that I'm warehousing them, and 2, I can't make anything on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a fight of attrition, because if you lose one customer every month, eventually 1% here, 2% this quarter, 5%, the mid.
Yep.
You lose one new customer, and you lose one customer and you don't score 2 new, you're gonna eventually have 0 customers.
100%.
Yeah.
And you're gonna eat the books that they pre-ordered.
But I'll tell you what, this is you've seen this in comics before because it's all cyclical. The biggest books coming out are all licensed properties.
Yeah. The things
so
that are really
real
right
creation, like creation from nothing, nobody's interested in. It's all nostalgia. It's all licensed properties, and that's where all the heat is. And this will go on for a little while, and there'll be good books made, like in the indie market, but nobody will read them or buy them.
Well, and just think of every one of those books that from the 90s that kind of crawled up from the mega hordes of Image and the shadow of Image. You look at Hellboy, Mignola's Hellboy. You look at 30 Days a Night. You look at, a lot of these indie titles that there were 100 books for every one of those books that 100 books that failed for every one of those books that later became something.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and you go through the stuff that I just don't even bother. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I remember this book. God, this thing's worthless now.
I love in the 80s, man, I was a Badger fan, true and true, man. It's a great book. Never going to happen anything with it.
Never. You know what I loved the most out of your last video, Emmett, was you talking about Sergeant Rock.
Yes,
and it's
I agree.
so true.
Yes.
There's 5 fucking keys in Sergeant Rock, but every single one of those issues is fucking gold.
Yeah. Same with Swamp Thing.
The thing is, they were diverse.
You know what I was thinking of? While you were doing that, because I just bought, and if you guys remember this, I showed this on my pickups last week. Do you remember what Christian Slater is talking about in the comic book store to Patricia Arquette?
On True Romance?
In True Romance? He's talking about a Sergeant Rock fan. He goes, this is the ring that his girl gave him, and he's going to be damned if he lets that Nazi son of a bitch have his ring. That's right. Quentin Tarantino wrote about fucking Sergeant Rock in the original screenplay for True Romance. Yeah, baby. This is why we love each other, Hood.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a classic, bro.
It's all-time favorites. That movie was my favorite movie for like 3 years.
Here's the thing. I still have Sergeant Rocks on my wall. You know why? Because old-timers like me and Emmett love that shit. Yeah. And when one of them comes in with their kid who's a Batman fan or whatever, they'll still pick up a couple Sergeant Rocks. And I could still have the Sergeant Rocks in my store.
Shout out to Pop Sequentialism. Make sure you guys give him a follow. Amazing stuff. He says, I designed that shop. Wow.
Yes, he did.
That's
I'll
cool.
tell you what, Pop's connected,
How
bro.
do I not know that? You designed the studio. Where did they build that? Was that in LA?
That's a great question.
We got to do a whole show with him just about True Romance. Bryan, let's have a True Romance show because I'm in Detroit where it starts.
I love True Romance, man. I love the fact that
great movie.
The dialogue in that shit is great. I love the fact that they had a white, and I'm gonna say it just because you guys know what I'm talking about, a white wigger, as the drug dealer, and made him cool. You know what I mean? Like,
oh man,
yeah,
he should have been nominated for an award. I mean, Gary Oldman just transformed into.
That was before anybody knew he was Gary Oldman.
He was just
Brad Pitt on the couch.
Back then, you want to talk method actor and just being able to like Gary Oldman was.
And by the way, Patricia Arquette
or Dracula.
That movie made me fall in love with Patricia Arquette, man. My God, dude.
Lace and a pretty face and a ponytail. Oh, by the way, this is the anniversary of the Bopper dying.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
The day the music died.
Yep.
Wow.
With Billy, what's his name?
Bopper, Richie Valens,
and the bigger guy, the biggest guy of them all.
Yeah.
Skinny guy. Buddy Holly. Yeah. All right. One more thing I want to bring up. I thought this was interesting for Drama Alert. Actually, there's 2 more things I want to bring up for Drama Alert, but we'll go through them quick. This is a post by Blue Green, speaking of Blue Green, and he posted this. He says, eBay comic pricing topic that comes up from time to time. Do you disagree? It's okay if you do. Share your thoughts. And he posts a post that's it's a book that's on eBay, a Death Time of Your Life 8.5 advanced preview that has a buy it now of $3,500. And the person sends them a question and says, do you have a realistic number on this book considering what you paid? Right? Like they know what the person paid. They know, there's no way he paid more than, $20 for that. So I'm going to bring that up. And then the answer is, hi, always been confused by these comments. I've sold dozens of books for far under market, and no one ever complains that my price isn't accurate when I'm lower. It's my store, and that's my price tag. I've read Sandman since the beginning, love Death, love Chris Bachalo's version of her, found a signed copy a few years ago, and have been looking for it ever since. In those 3 years, the Blue Label is the only other copy I've seen surface on eBay, Google, or any other site. Only 3 copies graded. I don't know what would I don't know why that would be, as you would think an advanced preview would be sent one per store to quite a few retailers, but for whatever reason, this one seems to be rare, so I don't want to sell my copies. I think it's way undervalued at what it has been listed for, considering the decades-long blah, blah, blah. So he says, why he thinks it's so great, and then he says, so I'm future priced. If it goes up that level and someone wants to buy it for that, I will sell. Until then, I'm not willing to give up a copy for 1K. He just says why it's so expensive, And it's a very interesting.
I almost feel bad for asking him that,
Emmett and I could tell you why there's only 3 of those.
What?
Because in 1997, every retailer who got sent that book took a little ink pen and they wrote in every single number that they wanted, and they had to send that off or fax it.
Yeah.
Tear the pages apart and fax each page to Diamond Comics to get their order in.
Well, what do you? There's 2 questions here that I love. What do you think about people that put books on eBay for some outrageous price, and that do it like this? And what do you think about the people that contact them and say, and give them this type of question? Do you have a realistic number on this book considering what you paid for it? What?
I block them. I don't allow them to bid.
Yeah, I don't even respond to those kind of people.
Listen, my price is my price. I don't really do high pricing, but it's still my price. I mean, I used to sell at the flea market years ago, antiques and everything, and I had a record player, a small little in a beautiful cherry wood case, right? And somebody came by, and he came by and kept asking me to lower my price. At the end of the day, he goes, "See, you didn't sell it. Give it to me for this." I took it off my table and I jumped up and down on it until it was in bits. That's my kind of guy.
You're my kind of guy, motherfucker. Because I've done the same goddamn thing.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. This is one of those big, interesting things. I think it's in the same vein as when you walk into a comic book store and some comic dealers don't want to sell you more than a couple copies, and so because you're going to make more money off of them. And some comic dealers don't care, and it's an interesting question to talk or situation to talk about.
I used to get when those LCSs were still open. I'm so sad that they finally closed, but. They used to give me shit like, well, Hood, you're going to press it and you're going to make more money. Well, so you're charging me more because my ability to take it up another grade? Like I'm being punished because I can do something you can't?
I only do that for books that are brand new, just so my customers have a shot at them. But
yeah,
once they're off that stand, you can buy every single issue I have. I don't care. And I don't care what you do with them. But the 1 week, the regular guys who don't know what's going to happen, they might want to just read the book. I want to try to save one for
My
them.
old one was when they would come in and try to buy a whole bunch, I'd be like, "Oh, here's our sign-up sheet for our pull list. You can order as many as you want in advance."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't clean me out. I got other. I'd rather make you upset than 10 other customers.
The worst one, and Emmett, I'm sure you got a store up the road from you. My favorite but worst example was every Saga #1. Yeah. I bought so many Saga #1s because you're an idiot if you didn't. And the store up the road, the old timer up the road, I'm not going to say his name because a lot of people know him, and I love him to death, but he definitely was old school and didn't know, how to order for the secondary market. So the week that Saga came out, everyone came in. "Oh, you got Saga? Yeah, it's limited 1 per person." And I only put about 25% of what I ordered out on the wall, like 50 copies. And then after 1 week, they're going for like $20 on eBay. I'm like, okay, all of these go up to $10. And then one by one, they would come in and I'd be like, "Guys, if the guy up the road isn't ordering them, maybe you should move your pull over to here, because guess what? You're giving him the 99% of the orders that keep him afloat, and you're coming here for the one hot book that I can make quadruple and septuple on next week if I've still got it on my shelf. That's not fair to me. So, yeah, you can have one. It's right over there. But here's my pull list. Support me for the other 99% of the books, and you'll be getting as many as you want."
My other worry is that true nefarious people who are trying to make money on comics don't pre-order because they want to keep the number down.
Yeah.
And then they want to come in and get all of them and not leave them for anybody else who might want to read it. And that's why I won't do it. If they would just pre-order them, yeah, okay, it might not blow up as fast or whatever. There'd be 15 more, 20 more in the whole space of it. But they're really hurt. Like, there's a lot of creators whose books end because Image won't print them anymore, right? It happens all the time that books get canceled because they got 30,000 number ones sold because everybody thought it was going to be a hot book, and then they get 5,000 number twos, and then 3,000 number threes, and then once you go below 3,000, forget it. They cut it off unless you want to fund the printing out of your own pocket.
But it also works for the creators too, though, Emmett, because I was sitting there and I remember I was Facebook friends with Chuck P. Fight Club.
Yep.
And
Palmaniuk?
that motherfucker.
His comic books?
He's nuts.
Well, this was for Fight Club 2 when Dark Horse was doing it.
Yeah.
That motherfucker promoted every issue like it was his number one. And I kept my orders across the board on that book because every issue, 3, 4, 5, the hardcover, the signed hardcover that he sent out little book plates for, bait, all of these things. He promoted, and I would rub every one of my comic creator friends' face in it. And I would share every single post he made about every not issue one. And I'm like, if half of my Facebook friends promoted issue 2 through 6, like Chuck P promotes issue 2 through 6, you guys would all have way more better selling series.
Right.
Be like Chuck P. And guess what? Right. That motherfucker doesn't have free time to do it. He built a goddamn log cabin, And you're telling me he's got time to promote issue 3 of Fight Club 2? That you guys aren't willing to promote issue 1 of your brand new imprint at a new, creator-owned company? Get the fuck out of here.
All right, we're going to end this drama alert segment with a really shitty thing to do, but it had a decent outcome from a shitty situation. I don't know if you guys saw this, but before I show this, I'm going to tell a little story. One of the things that I have a big emotion to are baseball fields. And the reason why is because I grew up playing, baseball like we all did when we were kids, and my dad was always my coach, and my grandfather was always my dad's coach when he was growing up, and that's how it's been for generations. And my grandfather out here in Phoenix, when my dad was growing up, one of his big things is he would go and help build baseball parks around the valley for school neighborhoods that didn't have a baseball park, and it was a big thing. And I used to always hear these stories and how big those baseball fields are in my family, and just hearing stories about it. I remember when Field of Dreams came out, and just how amazing that was because of the little baseball field and how they're going to shut down. And it was just a great story. Well, this happened. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a Jackie Robinson statue in a youth field in Wichita, Kansas, where they raised $50,000 to make this statue, a statue of Jackie Robinson, was stolen. And they cut it off at the shoes, right? Jesus and Christ. It was found later burned, and basically it was an act of hate. Stupid, really stupid. But they started a GoFundMe for it, and a bunch of baseball teams and people around the country got involved, and they raised almost $200,000 for this to bring that statue back. And this is the type of story that I love, and fuck off whoever did that, but great job on everybody else to come together and help out that town. And this is why sports are so important, not for the major league teams and the big money that these players are making, but for these little youth baseball fields around the country that keep communities together. So Much love to all of them. What a bunch of bastards.
Bryan, if you ever get a chance, is your grandpa still with you?
No, he passed
Is your
away
dad?
2 years ago. Yes, yeah.
Mention my name to your dad, because my dad actually built about half of those fields over
Really?
in Peoria, and and
No
it would not
shit.
shock me if our parents knew each other, because my dad actually was friends with the batting coach for Ken Griffey Jr.
Uh-huh.
That was out at the Valley. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
No, but
He was the Mariners batting coach when Ken Griffey was there, and in
Okay.
1990, for my graduation, my dad took my cousins, who were huge Ken Griffey fans, down to Detroit versus Seattle, and saw the batting coach off to the side and flagged him over. This was 1990, so
Yeah.
Griffey was just huge, blown up, and my cousins got to meet Ken Griffey because of my dad's association with that batting coach who was from the Valley.
yeah.
So
My
no claim to fame on that one.
I grew up. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Joe Garagiola, and yeah. So Joe Garagiola is a big person here in the Valley for baseball after he retired, and my grandfather and him were friends, and they would work together to build. So I knew Joe Garagiola, and there was a show growing up here in the Valley for kids from like 1960s all the way up to the late 90s called the Wallace Ladmo Show, and those guys would come out and help. Every time they would open a new field, those guys would come out and they'd throw a huge celebration, and that's the type of stuff that's super cool to me. I'm gonna definitely do that, Dennis. So.
My dad is Dennis Parker Sr., so that's why I'd say mention my name, because he'd probably know my dad's name.
Yeah, for sure.
Garagiola and Vince Scully were, without a doubt, the best announcers for baseball that I've ever heard.
Yep.
Like, you could turn off the TV. I mean, just
my dad did that, Hood.
Like, right?
Yep.
Is it
And-
Scully
and
who
li-
did,
just listen.
Dodgers.
play on Paradise by the Dashboard Light?
I don't know. I don't
Two
know.
down, bottom of the ninth. He's sliding into first. He's going to second.
I don't know.
I think he's going to make it. Remember the Paradise by the Dashboard Light by Meatloaf?
And Meatloaf, yeah. No, I don't remember
I forget
that.
which one of those guys did the announcing, but I'm pretty sure it was one of those two guys.
Yeah.
Rizzuto.
Oh, it was Rizzuto?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
According to,
all right, you guys.
MLB.com.
Before we get into FOC, if any of you guys need to bounce out, since we are 3.5 hours, you know how it works here. You just throw up the fingers and deuces. Yeah. You
Peace. I can open the store in the morning.
Emmett, let's talk soon.
Oh, yes, sir. Take care of yourselves.
I'll see you guys.
Emmett,
Thank you very
you're
much
welcome.
For having me. It was a great time, man.
You're welcome anytime. Hood, we
Speaking
love
of
you,
baseball,
brother.
Shout out to Rubensteins.
Yes. Yeah.
Peace.
All right, so let's get into some FOC, but we got to let our boy sing us out.
Can you hear me out there? Hey, man, don't be squirting water at me. I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend, pal.
And that is Drama Alert for this week. All right, let's get into FOC. Starting off with our friends at Cover Price and our boy Lefteros and their little FOC IG posts, which Lefteros is killing it every week that he does it. Starting off with Aliens What If #1 with the killer Scotty Young cover. There you guys go. Love the little aliens. But it's kind of interesting that they're doing more of these what ifs. The What If TV show, I think, has become such a hit that, there's rumors that we're getting the Infinity stuff soon for a What If TV show for Star Wars. They're doing the What If Alien stuff. I mean, I could see a ton of this stuff blowing up, and I hope it just doesn't ruin it, because it's such a cool thing.
I wonder how much of a hand Fox has in all of it as well. The Fox end of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, especially if their logo's right there in the
Well,
front.
and that's where I want to see a live action What If using the Fox universe after this Deadpool, because I would love to see them just do a live action, low budget sci-fi with you grab, Michael Chiklis and put him in the Thing costume, and you grab, one of the X-Men, and you could do Days of Future Past. You could do anything with that stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's where they're headed. I really think that's where they're headed.
Well, we'll see. Moving on, we've got Batman Offworld #4, first appearance of the Thanagarian. Of course, the Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Thanagar, and all that stuff. This is Jason Aaron's story. You got the Doug. Is it Monkey? Is it Mankey?
Monkey.
Doug Monkey cover.
I think Mankey's a Pokemon.
Okay. It says this is the first appearance this week that Jason Aaron and Doug Monkey have brought us. This time it's a bounty hunter known as the Thanagarian or Thanagarian.
Can I make a comment real quick though?
Yeah.
I know you like to burn through FOC, but do you remember last week when I was talking about like Chuck Dixon and the industry doesn't give these old timers, they're sitting out there, and guess what? If they have time to fiddle around, they'll go join up with EBS.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey's been around for over 20 years. He hasn't been working the last 10. And I love seeing these old timers coming back and getting books like this with key talent like Jason Aaron, for fuck's sakes.
I agree.
I mean, Jason's not making the numbers that he was doing with a Marvel book at the same caliber, but the fact that DC is willing to try, do it.
Mm-hmm. And Jason's getting ready to do that new Turtles book. So
right. So what I'm saying to the audience is, this is your chance. Show some love on weird books like this with avant-garde little talents like this, and you can make a difference keeping this stuff alive if you like it.
Yeah, I agree. Later, Josh. All right. Next, we've got Dawn Runner #1, an all-ages sci-fi epic about human beings using mechs to battle kaiju-like monsters known as Tetsas. Story by Ram V. That sounds interesting, especially with all the new Godzilla love.
I'm sure it'll be good, but it sounds like somebody just dialed up ChatGPT and said, give me every stereotype of the Asian market and make an American comic book.
Yeah, man. That's scary. Next, Giant Size Spider-Gwen #1, first appearance of Orlando Octavius. Let's see here. We've got another Giant Size one-shot with a first appearance. This time it's Misty Flores introducing the latest Spider-Gwen villain, Orlando Octavius, the adopted son of Earth-65 Doc Ock. So... Sentry #4, you got the introduction of Mallory Gibbs as Solaris, and a beautiful Ben Harvey cover. Holy shit, that's a good looking cover. This is interesting. Looks like the Sentry will not be the Sentry at all. It's Mallory Gibbs, and she is now Solaris. It's weird what they're doing with the Sentry property. I don't get it at all. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew what they were doing back when they started it. Like, Bendis had an idea, and then it just kind of petered into nothing, and it just would kind of spark up and then fizzle out and spark up and fizzle out, and then they're just like, fuck it, get rid of them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a challenging character to write in the first place. I feel like it's the Superman conundrum.
And
of
Bryan, you talked
do?
about this on one of your market reports, and I'll say this. I said the same thing when Century first appeared right when we opened my comic book store. Zartan started out as a paranoid schizophrenic with that variant file card, and they took so much shit. Like, I remember one of my family members clipped that ad and gave it to me to show me, and then I was like, oh man, I have it already. Good. And I coveted that error file card.
Yeah.
I think the same thing probably happened with the Century. It's like, look, you can't make a lunatic. You can't make him, schizophrenic and have all these weird issues and all of this stuff, because that's derogatory to
You know what sucks? I felt like that was my favorite fucking part. And I know that there was the problem of him being stronger than Superman. He was as strong as 10 million suns. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But the reason why that was there was also, you can't have somebody that powerful, but you can if he's got fucking schizophrenia. You know what I mean? You can kind of play that off.
The story is him overcoming his handicap or disability.
Yeah.
And they never wanted to do that because it would diminish somehow the people with it in real life or whatever. I don't know. But that's what I always felt, was that the Century was kind of their Zartan, and they never knew what to do with that issue of him.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, I see Billy and Pop Sequentialism saying, hashtag Moon Knight, hashtag Legion. That's a character trope. It is, but it's super cool to have the little backstory that they pulled on it, the little shenanigans that they pulled, saying it was a original Marvel character and all that stuff. I loved that part of it. It was a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was kind of funny. Star Wars Thrawn Alliance is #1, the second print. And of course, people are going to go crazy for this. But
yeah, and I always preach to the choir. Second prints, especially right now, are microscopic.
Yeah. Ultimate X-Men #1. This is the Momoko cover. So you got the new Ultimate X-Men universe thing going on. We've got Ultimate Black Panther going on. They're going to keep running with it, and I think that if the stories are good, they should. So we'll see how it plays out. It says introduction of a new generation of X-Men, including Armor and Maystorm, and I love the Armor character. So,
and I'll throw this in just for the gristle is the original Ultimate Universe took off because it was a slow rollout when they had no numbers whatsoever and they had nothing to lose. And I kind of feel that rolling out all of this Ultimate all at once is kind of the desperation play. Like, oh shit, this worked. Quick, get as much out as you can.
Yeah.
I hope that it doesn't just flood the zone so bad that, they miss it.
This sounds so weird. Also, Economics and Comics Billy says Momo writing it will be bad. And I just don't understand why they would give Momoko this to write. I mean, she's a hot artist, but I don't know. What did people think that read the Demon Days?
Demon Days stuff isn't bad.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't call it earth-shattering, but it's not bad.
Here's where they're smart. And I've talked to the people that are making decisions over at San Diego last year with Marvel, and they want to turn Peach Momoko into Marvel's U.S. Shinzo Ito. They think that she's got such a vision of what they want that they really are committing the effort to turning her into their version of that. And actually, they took my idea of reprinting the Demon Slayer,
or the Demon Days,
into a manga. Into a manga book.
A proper one, yeah.
A proper manga.
All right, Weapon X-Men #1, first appearance of Jane Howlett, which is weird to me, but we're going to have another Wolverine character.
Isn't Jane Howlett the one that was in the Marvel Comics? What was the female Wolverine?
This is Wolverine from Earth 1281, circa 1909, as Jane Howlett. So it's a female Wolverine in the early 1900s from a different Earth. Yeah. But we'll see. And that is the Cover Price Lefteros post. Nice little quick hitter, but you guys know how we do this. Check in on our boy Economics and Comics page. Go check out economicsandcomics.com for their collections pre-orders if you guys want to jump on any deals here. Man,
speaking of this first one here,
I know.
Did you hear the report that came out before Argyle this week that Matthew Vaughn wants to do Red Son Superman with Henry Cavill? And I only had one comment, and it was like, not after they see the sales numbers of Argyle, because that movie was dog crap.
Well, didn't Matthew Vaughn also state that he would think about doing the Supergirl movie, directing the Supergirl movie now that what's-her-name's been cast? I don't fuck Matthew Vaughn. Like, you know,
dude. No, I love Matthew Vaughn, but after seeing this Argyle movie, my kids were laughing at it as hard as I was.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, it's kind of an homage to Romancing the Stone." I'm like, "You forgot to mention you completely ripped off Long Kiss Goodnight and Total Recall." So mention those while you're saying it's an homage to Romancing the Stone.
All right, so I've been talking about this since day one, or since I first read issue 1 of the Alan Scott.
Did you go back and read them like you said you were going to?
I did read them all.
Oh,
I've been reading them. Issue 3. Well, I stopped at issue 3 when we had that conversation because issue 3 was the last book out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So these fucking covers are so good. They're so good. I mean, look how great these look. I mean, they're beautiful. I don't like this character, the new Red Lantern. I feel like they're doing this to kind of force it. It's funny to me that they're doing this, and I feel like, and I know I'm going to get shit for this, I feel like part of this is a shot at the Comicsgate bros and EVS, because EVS is the creator of the Red Lanterns, you know, and here we are, we're creating this new Red Lantern, right? It's just weird. And this is you bring up Red Sun Superman. This is the same fucking thing.
It's clearly, I mean, no, to me, this is an interesting take, because if you take Red Sun and mix it with Red Lantern, and then you put it in the Alan Scott era, you know, and you get, it's a really unique idea, kind of like when they had Batman meet the Shadow and Green Hornet, you know, when they did those Alex Ross issues at DC back in like 2010, 12. It's interesting, but if the story's not there, no one's going to care.
The story has not been there 1 through 3. I'll say that. But
I would disagree with that. I think the story's been good thus far, but the question is, can they actually hammer it home? Because to have 2 issues to basically introduce a new villain and then do whatever you're going to do, that's a speed run if I've ever seen one.
What do you mean 2 issues? Because I felt like we just saw the first issue of the villain in issue 4.
Right. So there's only 6 in the run.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
So you're gonna have 2 issues now to speed run.
Yeah.
Introduction.
If this, I see what you're saying, Binksy, because if this was your whole idea for this 6-issue arc, you should have introduced the villain at the end of 1, built him by 2.
Here's my
the
problem.
Climax at 3, or have the defeat at 3, the overcome at 4.
Here's the problem. I know some people like the stories. Binky's, you like it. I know Josh said that he likes it, but to me, it's not good. It was so easy to call out the exact idea that this dude was having from issue 1. You knew that the bad guy was going to be the dude that he fell in love with. You know, you knew the second they were setting that up. It was so easy to call that. And it just doesn't, it feels like it's just bad, lazy story writing to me, personally, because of how easy it was to call. And then that first issue was really rough for me. But the covers are fucking amazing, man. They're so good. So shout out to everybody that's doing the covers on this is J Hero.
I remember we had a conversation at a comic show about 5 years ago, and we were talking about, well, what's this? You know, we have the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Modern Age, and then we have the Variant Age. You know, what are we? And I literally just said, this is going to be the cover age, because it's really just the covers that are selling.
You're right. Yeah. I agree. Speaking of great covers, look at this Adi Granoff Aliens. Damn. And then we've got Perillo Aliens What If. We've got the Momoko variant for Aliens What If, which is, again, probably Momoko's top 5 covers. It wouldn't be a great cover, you know, but this is a good Momoko cover. Like, it's not bad.
Her sci-fi stuff is really good. She is very talented when she's doing like horror and sci-fi. You can tell that she's in her comfort zone.
Shinzui too.
Yeah.
Amazon's Attack number 5.
That Rodriguez is a fantastic cover.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed. You've got Avengers 11. Mark Brooks headshot variant.
Were we just making fun of the headshot variants last week?
On for the Dazzler book, yeah.
Yeah, now they're just going right back to headshots.
Yeah.
Can somebody explain to me that Cap 7 Stormbreakers cover?
I'm
not, and it's not a shot. I love Squirrel, don't get me wrong, but like,
yeah, why
couldn't you have found a better candidate than Captain America 7?
Yeah, I hate how they do that. They do that with those Disney variants.
Come on.
Too. Here's the thing, though. These headshot variants, at least they're great art. Mark, you cannot talk shit. I don't care if you don't like the guy, but you cannot talk shit on Mark Brooks' art. It is.
Oh, no. And here's the funny thing is I still consider myself friends with Mark. I still consider myself friends with Ethan. And when I see the two of them screaming at each other in a thing, I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm going to be over here, let the kids fight. But I still love both of their art.
What's this? Choco Leche?
It's Scout. You can immediately stop reading.
Son of a famous
I know a lot of people that work
luchador.
for Scout. Stop it.
Scout did a lot of good books for a long time. That was a long time ago.
The Conan
You know, when
stuff.
they partner up with Whatnot, that's when the problem happens.
Yeah.
Truth be told, that's when things really started going awry.
Yep.
I noticed that.
Yep. 100%. Dawn
Did I say that
Runner.
out loud? I'm just doing that because I hate Whatnot.
Well, that's actually probably more true than you know.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, I sit back here and I just like eat my popcorn sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's going to ruin this. Oh, yep, sure does.
Nate's a big fan of Evan Cagle, and this isn't a bad cover.
That's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah. Detective Comics 1082.
Hey,
Elegy
you know
of
what that's?
Sand.
Oh, you know what the influence on that is, right? That's Labyrinth.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
No, but look at the party and
Yeah.
the Escher-like background.
Yep.
That is totally Labyrinth lifted.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a great cover. This is a good one too. I love Federici, man. To me, still, I love his Robin King cover. It was so good. That's another character that they fucked up.
That's 75% of a Frazetta right there.
Yeah. Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that horse.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's either that or I even see some Perillo in there.
Yeah.
I feel like the upper body and the horse is great, but the connection between his legs and the horse, something's just off.
It's his suit. His suit's too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be too bright to blend into that. He should have had some like whatever they call those little buckles that kind of go over your
Yeah,
leg
it should be weathered too. You know, you got basically a dead horse that you're riding in a sandstorm, and your suit looks like you just put it on.
Yeah,
this is a crazy cover. Look at this one, the Frank
I do
Avila.
like that.
That's just beautiful, man. Great design. That's super cool. Moving on.
But I mean, those two covers right there. It's the conundrum of DC. Are you going to spend $6 on that solely for a cover? Because I'm not. I love the cover. I'll wait for it to be half price.
And the bigger conundrum is if you're a retailer,
are you going to order it?
You're going to order one over the other, and the others might as well just not even order it. You know, at a certain point.
Yep.
Wow, that's a great Doctor Strange cover. Man, these Doctor Strange covers. Alex Ross. Phew.
Did I ever tell you what I'd heard about Alex Ross?
Let's hear it.
So Alex has probably one of the greatest art selling teams in comic books.
Is Sal still working for Alex Ross?
Oh yeah, Sal
I
runs
love
everything.
Sal, dude.
Sal's
I've been telling Jesse I want to get Sal on my show because I don't know if he still does shows, but Sal used to go on the very first comic book podcast that I think might have ever been out. It was called Comic Book Geek Speak. And it was these guys from the East Coast, and they would have Sal on the show all the time. They called him Uncle Sal, and he was so fucking funny.
Yeah, no, he's one of the best. I've had dinner with him, drank with him at bars. He's one of the best. But basically, there's so many people that want to own Alex Ross pieces that Alex has to do as many of these as he can. And when you see him do a Dynamite here and a this there, and you're like, what? Wow, they got Alex Ross for issue number 13 of Doctor Strange. It's because he's got 20 buyers that want to buy a Doctor Strange piece of original art from Alex Ross, and they're all lined up, and he's got basically this is his commission work.
Yep.
You hear about an artist that goes to a con and he has to come back and do 20 sketch covers when he's done. You know, this is Alex Ross doing his commission work for his big money buyers.
It's pretty cool that you got the Hunter's Moon character showing up in this already, and Taskmaster, the old Taskmaster, Secret Defenders team. All right, Duke.
$20,000 for Alex Ross paintings. For a lot of these covers.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I own his $6 million man cover for Dynamite, and I own a great 2-part splash page of the Phantom and Green, or is it Green? No, not Phantom. Green Hornet and Spirit.
Sick.
Yeah,
I love the Spirit.
And it's gorgeous. I mean, just everything I own of his is just, it speaks to me. So it's just like, yeah, when you see it come up, buy it, or you'll never see it again.
You guys know how I feel about the Energon stuff. It's excellent. Great read. I'm not a big a fan of Duke as I am of Cobra Commander and Transformers yet, but I know I will be. This Edenwood stuff looks amazing. I'd love to know if
I was
anybody.
actually just going to ask.
Yeah, this stuff looks so amazing. It's Tony Daniel.
You know what I don't
Tony
like
S.
is
Daniel.
they don't cover price, and if you're watching or you can somebody forward it to them. I don't like that they don't tell me who the writer is on this page. I want to know who's writing it, not just the cover, and it needs to transfer to each one of them.
Well,
whereas the other guys that you guys share, they always
isn't
put,
Tony S. Daniel writing it?
Yep.
Okay.
But I'm
Look
just
how
saying,
beautiful.
I'd like to see that in the blurb because they don't
I
always
got you.
put it on the cover.
Yeah. Look at this one. Holy shit. All these look great. What great character designs. It's an image book. Yeah, I definitely got to check this out.
Well, Tony Daniels did a cover for me, that Secret Wars variant I did. And he's just such a great guy to meet. If you ever see him at a show, just go up and talk to him, buy something from him. Because, I mean, he's just one of those guys that's been pounding it out. And this is when you work in the industry as long as some of these guys have, you're going to come up with everything in the back of your head like, oh, I can do that better. Oh, I can do this better. And then when they get the chance, you've got to support that chance or you're never going to see it again.
Yeah. Man, these
Speaking
Fire
of
and Ice
Frazetta,
cover. Yep.
Speaking of Frazetta.
Shout out to Dynamite. Fire and Ice books, another great IP that they're picking up. Flash, is this the Gang War stuff, or did they finish that? Matt Taylor.
Does anyone really know?
Yeah.
let's be honest. Is anyone reading Flash out there? Anyone?
Flash, it'll be rebooted in a year anyway. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Green Arrow. That's a great Dustin Nguyen cover. Holy shit. Look at that. I love when covers are designed this like smart. Like that's so smart and
that almost looks like an Aja Hawkeye cover.
Fucking great. So, End of Beast World coming up. I've heard a lot of people say that Beast World is good. So, I don't know. I'm not reading it. Hack Slash. There we go.
Was that Hack Slash up? Go up to one more at the end.
This one right here.
Is that Hack Slash 2?
No, it's Guma Beginning. It's options, horror, something.
Ji Hung Lee
That's
stuff.
Micah, though. That's pretty hot.
Yeah, Ji Hung Lee created this comic.
Yeah. It's Ji Hung's creator thing.
Yeah, but Sozumika's art has just changed. Not a ton, but for the better. It's changed a lot for the better in a short period of time.
I think she's cranking out less work, so she's actually slightly more focused on everything that is coming out.
And she seems like she's getting better about parts of her work, and you know what I mean, as she goes.
She's got 2 years under her belt now, though. You can't, it's like we were saying last week, when we're talking about Eric July, and your first book is never going to be as good as your book 2 years in, and 10 years in, and 20 years in, and 30 years in. You're going to learn something, and you have to support them along the way and watch their growth, or you just got to cut them and hopefully they read the writing on the wall that I need to change.
Yeah. Haunting on Mars. Let's see here. Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man is still rocking and rolling. And it's still a good book, right?
Did that come out right before COVID or
right as
during
COVID was happening?
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's not going to go anywhere. You can easily print it. Every issue is its own living being beast. And if you're a collector, again, we've used the word invest a lot. Ice Cream Man is one to invest in.
Well, to me, it's like your Sandman or your Fables. If it eventually hits as an evergreen, everything just becomes something.
Yep. And at this point, it's generally low ordered. It's lower printed. All these books are hard to find. And I will say, I've sold a lot of Ice Cream Man lately. I've been selling a lot of the early first 10 issues because they're so low print. I happen to have a handful.
King Spawn. More animal stuff.
Yeah, it's Scout.
Yeah.
Stop it, Binksy. Scout has people too, man.
Power Ranger
I
stuff.
love Ross Ritchie over at Boom, but how many times can you milk this Power Ranger holding a helmet cover?
Well, they're doing the Baron's zombie ones now a ton too.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel Mutant Menace #1, Derek Chew. I'm getting a little tired of Derek Chew, but this one's not too bad.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is all they did was a color swap on the cover. From the
You know what? I've actually got to give Marvel Comics kind of some credit on this. It would have been real easy to kind of retcon her to the cinematic universe, Miss Marvel, and get rid of the stretchy power and or you know, retcon her or whatever they would do. No, they're sticking with the core of the character, which is this is her power. This is what she's always going to do.
Well, in that Avengers Twilight, which has been good, second issue just came out. Isn't she like the giant character too? She's playing that she's the big giant character now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that book's gotten hot in the past week. The issue 1s seem to be drying up.
It's a good read too. That's another.
I thought it was a very good read, but yeah, just watching pricing on it, pricing's jumped up. It's doubled up in the past like week or two.
People love this series too. I got to check this series out.
Is it still being written by? Who's it being written by? See, can't.
Can't remember who's writing Penguin. Is it Tom? Is it Tom Taylor?
I think it's Tom King.
Tom King?
Yeah.
It's one of the two. Tom King or Tom Taylor.
It's Tom King.
Okay. Yeah. Power Girl. More Power Girl stuff. None really.
Yeah,
no really
It's
good
Red
covers.
Hood's not here. I'll say it, Mama.
Flavors, Rare Flavors. Got another.
Can someone explain to me what issue 28.5 actually means, by the way?
It's weird, yeah.
Can somebody break that down for me?
Well, what's the issue number? I mean, what's the other issue? Did they come up with an issue that happens between those two issues, and they're actually on issue 31 right now, and they went back and
what's the
pulled it
reason
in
to
between
do? Yeah, what's the reason to do a 28.5? Is it to try and get so many books?
I don't know.
Like to slow them down so they reach a certain book at a certain time.
So there was a 27.5 as well. Apparently, I've been out of touch with Radiant Black stuff for a long time.
You know what, Brian? You might be right because it's that begins in Radiant Black 28, and it may be that they're trying to hit some kind of numbering thing because this is the Catalyst War continues. So maybe they're trying to get the hardcover or the trade paperback to end with this particular story, but they,
Yeah. Red Light. Red Sonja. Of course, always got some decent Red Sonja covers. Whoa, look at that. Holy shit. That's scary.
See, the way Binksy, the way you feel about Scout is the way I feel about AWA.
I totally understand. Two companies with the same business model. When the first thing you want to do is tell me that you're a media company and you option things, I immediately stop listening.
Yep.
Wow. That's a cool cover.
And I love Joe Pruitt over at Aftershock, but that was the business model they walked into it with.
Yeah.
Look how good. I mean,
that's actually good.
Mark Brooks is fucking amazing. He's so good.
Well, the way they went better with this than the 6 year ago headshot is they got the colors to match up, and then they've got
backgrounds.
Yeah,
they're doing a good job. Great person to pick for the headshots. Mark
are they 1 in 10s or no? It looks like they're just regular.
Regular variants.
Yeah. Oh, click on that space suit one.
It's kind of a what is it? Lopresti that's doing the same style book right now.
I think they got the head a little off on that one, but
yeah,
they don't even tell who the artist is on that one.
It looks a little small.
Yeah,
I think that's Bartel.
Yeah,
is it?
I think she's still doing. So if that's the cover A, I think she's still doing the cover A's on the She-Hulk stuff. Looking at the color palette's Bartel. The face doesn't look Bartel though.
Yeah.
Ooh. More Scout.
That's pretty nice.
But this is Scout Europe. Sydney Hammer. Slow Burn. Star Trek. Star Wars. No good covers. What is that? Ooh. Whoa. Getting into the nail stuff. All right. Thrawn, High Republic. I'm not reading any High Republic stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the super hot cover for Thrawn, and they just re-released it as a second print.
Yeah, I think they color swapped it.
Yeah.
And that is a Bartel on that She-Hulk, by the way.
Okay. Something's off on that one though for me.
It's the face. The face is too green with all the purple that's in it. It creates really weird contrast. It may look better on print.
Dude, Linnell Francis Yu is killing these Thanos covers.
Yeah.
Thanos is such a cool character, man. I hate that they fucked him up in the movie.
Well, so here's the good news: is they'll have an opportunity to retcon all that.
Yeah. Here you go. You get a Snap variant that never happened in the comics world, but you get a cover for it. Batman First Night. What's this?
And Economics and Comics, I will say, I pick up some AWA stuff. I do think it is generally better than Scout, but just the business model just kind of bothers me a little bit.
So it says here, the year is 1939. The world, still reeling for the horrors of the First World War, is on the brink of tipping into an even more gruesome conflict. As fascism is on the march and gathering strength in America's darkest corners, against this backdrop, a series of violent murders has begun in Gotham, and the recent emergence of the mysterious vigilante known as the Batman has the power brokers in the city living in fear of institutional collapse. All the evidence in the murder investigation defies logic. The perpetrators are all men who died in the electric chair. But when Batman comes face to face with one of these sickening anomalies, he barely escapes with his life, throwing into question his ability to survive in a world that is brutally evolving around him. Legendary writer Dan Jurgens, there you go, there's an old school guy, and superstar artist Mike Perkins returned to the earliest days of the Dark Knight, retelling one of his most infamous cases through an acutely modern lens, depicting a world paralyzed by anxiety and desperate populace crying out for release. Interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. All right. There's more X-Men stuff, Ultimate X-Men, Undiscovered Country, Venom. I'm just looking for any real good covers right now. I mean, these are cool, but a ton of those World Tree. Is anybody still reading World Tree?
Just started back up.
By the way, Nikki Barucci was in the chat.
Shout out to Nick. We had to cancel our thing, and we're gonna try and get at it next week. So be on the lookout. Still rocking with that. Nick's a good dude.
I love Nikki. I love to rag on him though when he makes bad decisions that anger me. But it's like he knows I love him. You know what? I'll tell you something about Nikki Barucci that a lot of people don't ever say. That motherfucker bought the bar for all the retailers probably about 10 years in a row at retailer summits. Like, if he's still in the chat, tell me I'm wrong, Nikki. But, like, they would have an open bar for the last night of the retailer summit, and Nikki Barucci, Dynamite, would always pick up the retailer's tab at the bar. I never saw Marvel or DC pick that tab up. Nikki Barucci did. So, shout out to Nikki Barucci.
Yeah, that's one of the good dudes out there. All right, so I gotta check out. Billy's saying I gotta check out the Savage Sword of Conan, and I'm sure he's talking about this one.
Well, I mean, it's Joe Jusko, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really need to say anything more besides that.
If everybody in the chat doesn't own something by Joe Jusko, you need to correct your buying habits, because I bought a set, and you'll love this, Bryan. I bought a set of all 100 Marvel Masterpieces, every single card signed by Joe Jusko. And
I talked about this one.
Every card sells for a minimum of, with just his signature on it, for like $20 to $30 a piece.
Yeah. I showed this Zafino, Billy. I love that cover. There was somebody else that was. There was somebody else that was telling me about the Jusko Marvel Masterpieces recently. Picked up a ton of them. Or was
Jesse?
It was somebody. All right, I think that's it, and we are 4 hours and 16 minutes in. We'll jump over into the Discord for a little bit, you guys, if you want to hang out afterwards. And
hey, thanks for having me on tonight, Bryan.
Yeah.
Anytime,
I do
want to
show everybody one small thing. It is somebody that we give a lot of grief, but again, we've been talking about good stories, so you can see the Mylar. There we go. So this is a Bryce comic exclusive. First off, I made fun of this earlier. This is the most obnoxious COA that I think I've ever seen in a book ever. You can see it's almost the size of the backing board, and it's a giant advertisement at the bottom. But here's one thing I will say. So we give Bry a lot of shit. Some of it's justified, some of it's a little bit more questionable. But last Friday, Bry did something really cool and whatnot. Bry did for his like 9,000 followers, or however many it was. It was follower appreciation. He gave away 50 slabs, which was nice. But the other nice thing that he did is he did $1 drops. So he dropped 3,000 copies of this, the hottest book out there, Ultimate Spider-Man 1, for $1.
Wow.
So
good on Bry. That's a good way to give back to your community.
I can't keep track of all the weird scandals and hate things other than just the people I hate. Because I got so many to hate that I don't. What's Bry accused of? What did he do that everybody was?
He did those huge mystery boxes, but he also at the same time did some manufactured scarcity stuff on. He called it the most.
He was the guy that burned them after CGC graded so many of them or something, or CGC destroyed them.
They destroyed. They found the 10-0 on the Virgins, and I think he did 100. 9/9s or something like that. There was only so many of them.
I think there was like 39/9.
But see, and here's the thing: everybody gave him shit for that, and I remember when that came out, I was giving CGC the shit for that.
Yeah.
And now the way we look at this, how does everybody not see?
We looked at it as
CGC.
We were calling him out.
Issue.
We were calling that out at the time too. It was it was a bunch of bullshit for sure. But
CGC is for sale. So
yeah.
So I couldn't remember which scandal was Bry's and whatnot. Sorry.
Yeah, but like I said,
that's super cool.
Dropped a couple other exclusives. I mean, it's other.
But
like
here's the question. My question is, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking: is Whatnot giving him the money to do that? Is he doing that? Like, I'm always thinking, like, is he?
Yeah, and it's a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. That's the thing. When you get to the point where, here's the thing. If anybody in the chat or anybody that's on this show when we're on here has any second guesses about what my motivation is, then I'm not doing my job.
Oh, no, nobody's thinking your motivation is to be a money man on this. That's for sure.
Right. So, but the second you get yourself in a situation where people question your motivation,
there's a problem.
And question your integrity, you're done.
Yeah.
You just pull the ripcord, you're fucking Epic Nation. Doesn't matter where the fuck you go, you're gonna get called out.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the way I feel when you start making these deals with the devils for the money. The second Whatnot thought they could control me is when I fucking destroyed them.
Yeah. Well, you're one of those guys that I was talking about earlier, that either you get over it in 3 days or you say, fuck it, I'm going to go all in, man. So that being said, you guys come hang out in the Discord. We'll be hanging out there for a little bit, smoking. I'll be finishing off the blunt and shooting the breeze. So the link in the description for the Discord to jump in. We'll see you guys over there soon. We're out. Peace.